Sir. Blumenfield, De Leon, Harris Dawson, Hernandez, Hutt, Krikorian, Lee, McCosker,
What up,
Padilla,
everybody?
Park, Price, Rahman, Rodriguez, Soto Martinez, Yaroslavsky.
Hello, everyone.
14 members present on a quorum, Mr. President.
Great. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes of May
you, Andrew.
31st, 2024, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Hernandez moves. Councilwoman Hutt seconds. Next.
Commendatory
Yeah, their
resolutions
feed
for
went down,
approval.
Mark.
Okay. Councilmember Soto Martinez moves.
Of course, the Spanish
Councilmember
feed's
Price
still up.
seconds. Next.
But the other one's
Mr.
not
President, today's Tuesday. It's time for the flag salute.
working.
Okay. If everyone could rise for the flag salute. Councilmember Park, would you like to lead us?
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Please stand if you're able. Place your
See
hand
any
over your
regulars
heart.
in there?
Ready,
Let's
begin.
see.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Was that Herman waving his hands back there?
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Yep, Blob is in charge. It's good to see everybody. Good Morgan.
justice for all.
No, that's not him.
Okay.
I don't see any regulars for right now.
What's next?
Hi, Francine. Hi, Danny. Hi,
Mr.
Jack. Hey,
President,
Ben. Hey,
there
Memo.
is a request
Noah.
to hold item
Kenneth.
27 on the
Ryan.
desk,
Matt.
and
Turtle.
I will run
Dallas.
through the
Alice.
agenda right now, sir.
James T.
Items 1 through 12 are items noticed
Hi,
for
Gil.
public hearing. Item number 1, the Department of Building
Brooke.
and Safety recommends confirming the
Hi,
lien.
Calamity Girl.
Items 13 through 28 are items which public
Donda.
hearings have been held.
Jana.
Item 29
Scorpion.
through 39 are items which public hearings have not been held.
Oh, good, Scorpius.
Note that no action is required for item 37, and as much as
What's up,
the
Jay?
budget is still pending with the mayor, 10 votes are required
Hey,
for
Snell.
consideration.
Colleagues, does anyone wish to call any items special?
Real quick. Okay.
Mr. Soto Martinez.
Thank you so much, Council President. I'd like to call item 21 and 25 for a separate vote. And then for item 26, I'd like to introduce an amendment.
Hi, Terry. Good morning.
Okay. Do you have that amendment to read in?
ISV.
Yes.
Good morning. What's up, Laguna?
So the amendment reads that I move that item number 26 on today's agenda be amended as follows. 1. Request the city attorney, with the assistance of the CLA
Hopefully the sound's
and the
okay for you
CAO,
guys.
to
Sounds
prepare
good
and
on my
present
end.
the required resolutions to place on the November 5th, 2024 general election ballot a standalone measure to amend Charter Section 1070 in the following ways. Initial language is in bold, so I assume that's the change. Authorize the City Council to adopt an ordinance to allow for a Board of Rights comprised of, end of the bold
right.
language,
Sounds good.
one sworn officer with the rank of captain or above, and the 2 civilian hearing officers, as well as delete the second paragraph of Charter Section 1070H that allows for an all-civilian composition option of the Board of Rights through ordinance. B. Approval
Why is
by
he
the
copying me? I
voters
picked up
would
my
result
mug,
in the
drank,
repealing
Wise
of
Blob got a
ordinance
copy.
number 186100. C. Grant the chief of police the power to terminate a peace
Plonker.
officer for cause, including types of misconduct described in California Senate Bill 2, prior to an appeal process, and then the following
Plonker.
language is struck, outside of the Board of Rights model, end of the struck language. And D, authorize the city council to adopt an ordinance to establish binding
looks like he got his
arbitration
haircut, but it
as the
doesn't look
appeals
good.
process in lieu of
Looks
the Board
kind of
of
lumpy
Rights.
and uneven.
E, all terminated officers must still be
Like,
afforded
that's
an appeals
definitely a
process after termination.
$20 haircut.
F, and all of this language is in bold, include the following language in the ballot measure. The council shall not
Dave?
repeal the ordinances relative to police discipline for at
over
least
there.
2 years after they
in
are
the room,
adopted.
but he's over there. I can't
And
put him on
the
there.
department is instructed to report on the effectiveness of the new disciplinary process at the end of the 2-year period. End of bold language. And 2, instruct the CAO to initiate discussions
What's up,
with
Jeremiah?
the city's labor partners upon action by the
Hi,
council.
Greg.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Ms. Hernandez seconds. Okay.
Killa, remember I was
Other
telling you about
items
it a long
to
time
call
ago. I've
special?
seen it on television, never had one. I did
Well,
have
I'll
Chinese
call
food last night, if
special
that makes any
item,
difference.
18. I'm going to ask that, I'm going to send that back to commission, but in the form of a motion. Clerk, if you'd, City Attorney, if you'd read that motion in, please.
Yes, the motion reads that I move that the matter of the Public Safety Committee report relative to the acceptance of a non-monetary
All right, everybody.
donation valued at $26,937 to provide 2 police service dogs for the Los Angeles Police Department, Metropolitan Division's
100K.
K-9 platoon, item number 18 on today's agenda, be amended to decline the donation and to request the Police Commission and Police Foundation to report on the process used to solicit donations and how companies that the foundation decided
buddy,
to
everybody
procure
wants to
donations
see you.
for
Want you
the
laying
department
down so
from
everybody
are
can see
vetted
ya.
to ensure they are acceptable and meet the needs of the department.
Somebody's been asking for you already. There you go.
Councilmember McCosker, are you
Just rolled
seconding
up.
or who's seconding?
In all his glory.
Okay.
Ms. Hernandez, second.
Look at him.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and I'll explain that when we get to
Yeah, Stinks is already hungry.
the items. Next, anyone else? Mr. McCosker. And then,
Thank
then-
you very much. I have a couple of amendments on
Feed 'em
item
at 11 here.
27. I think the clerk or the city
He woke
attorney
me up at
has my
6
amendments.
a.m. and I fed him
I have
then.
2 amendments.
Okay, if you could read those into the record.
Yes. So the first motion reads that I move that the
Activate
matter
loaf
of the
mode.
Ad Hoc Committee on City Governance Reform Committee report relative to the reports for the Department of City Planning,
Loaf mode
Port of Los
activated.
Angeles, Personnel, Los Angeles World Airports, Neighborhood Empowerment, Board of Recreation and Park Commissioners, City Clerk, Board of Public Works, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, City Attorney, and City Administrative Officer regarding charter reform recommendations in item number 27
Yes,
on
that
today's
looks all
council
fucked up.
agenda be amended to adopt the following additional recommendations.
That cut isn't a
One,
good one.
request the city attorney, with the assistance of the CLA and the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, to prepare and present the documents necessary to place before the voters an additional measure with the proposed charter amendments that are recommended for the November 2024 ballot, included in Attachment A, attached to the CLA's communication dated May 30th, 2024, attached to the council file number 23-1027, that would amend Charter Section 650 entitled Board Composition to require
no
that the Board
basketball
of
or
Harbor
hockey till at
Commissioners
least
be
Thursday
composed of
and
at least
Saturday?
2 local community members on the board,
least
with
Dodgers play
one
today
from the community of
against the
San Pedro
Pirates.
and one from the community of
In
Wilmington.
Pittsburgh. 3:40 game start for you Dodger fans.
And the second amendment for item number 20.
14 and a half fitted.
Mr. McCosker.
I'm sorry, go ahead. On the second, on the
You know
on
those
the first
giant
motion?
hats that people wear, the like the giant new era
Is there a
hats?
seconder
Needs to get one of those as like a
Councilmember
regular one.
McCosker's motion?
Councilmember
Park,
Parks
okay.
seconds it.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Harris Dawson, did you have amendments? No. Or is there another?
Yes, I have one more amendment from CD 15.
What are you talking about,
Okay.
Ismail?
What's it?
Jungle Boys abandoned their wax.
In the
not
amendment
doing wax
reads,
anymore?
I
Not
move
doing
that
cotton
item number
figs, what you're saying?
27 on today's council agenda be amended to adopt the following
Mark.
additional recommendations.
Go Cubs. Come
Instruct
on,
the CAO, in coordination with the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles,
Hi, Electric.
the chief legislative analyst,
Don't
the
be
city
talking about the
attorney,
port.
and the city clerk
I wanna
to
hear nothing
report
about
with
the
language
port.
relative to establishing a new section in the charter and to be considered within charter reform processes that implements a Port of Los Angeles public access investment plan as outlined below.
The city's never
1.
owned the Port
Funding
of
for
Los
public
Angeles.
access projects, capital. The plan allocates a minimum
right,
of
Harlan owns the
10%
port,
of the
Randy.
Harbor Department's annual operating income to build LA waterfront public access projects and provide port-related community benefits. 2. Project planning. The Harbor Department shall engage the local city council office on an annual basis, no later than March of each year, to determine the scope, range, and budget of public access projects for the next fiscal year, consistent with the Tidelands Trust. The council office shall engage in a public process to report back on community recommendations for the public
their feed's
access
working
projects
now
to
on
the
their
Harbor
other end.
Department.
So
The report on the community recommendations for the public
leave it
access
here.
projects shall then be considered and incorporated in the Harbor Department's annual budget planning process. The Harbor Department and the Council Office shall endeavor to plan for multi-year
Jong Pumpkinhead.
expenditures and projects to the extent permissible by law and this policy. 3. Operating income. For purposes of calculating operating income for this plan, revenue does not include purpose-directed funds collected from third parties. Examples include, but are not limited to, environmental document reimbursements,
I didn't,
marine
Tyler. Did
oil
you send me a
terminal
picture?
engineering and maintenance
get it.
standards reimbursements, clean truck
Send it to me
program
again
fees,
if you-
and harbor
you can.
maintenance
I
tax
haven't
funding.
seen it.
4. Capital Improvement Program. Harbor Department reporting and selection of public access investment plan projects
That's
shall
what
be
I'm
aligned
asking you,
with the Harbor
Ismail.
Department's
Is that what you're
overall
talking about?
5-year capital improvement
Oh, what
program
concentration do I
budget
vape?
process.
I like
The process
sauce,
includes community input
butter,
on project selection
and the,
consistent with the process
what do you
outlined
call it?
above.
Crumble.
The community input process will continue with annual
the
reporting
batter.
and engagement,
BADDER,
coupled with more
the
in-depth
batter.
project prioritization processes.
I like
when
batter 'cause it's a
necessary,
little thicker
based on
consistency.
status of budgetary
Easier to
allocation
kinda
for
play
existing
with.
projects and funding
Sauce
availability for
drips
new
everywhere.
projects.
Shatter breaks everywhere.
5.
The batter's good.
Annual budget process. Implementation of the plan and its guidelines are subject to the Board of Harbor
You don't like
Commissioners'
crumble?
approval.
The only crumble
The
I really
percentage
use
of
though, Ismail,
operating
is
income allocated
is
annually
what do you call it?
and specific
bubble
amount
hash.
allocated to projects per year will
it's
be
like in a
determined
crumble
by the
form.
Board of Harbor Commissioners.
So that's the only
with
crumble I
consideration
actually use.
of the
Everything else
section-
is sauce or batter.
Sorry. Mr. Herman, you were disrupting this meeting. You were stopping me from reading this amendment out loud. So this is your first and only formal warning for this meeting. You will be subject to removal if you have to warn you again.
Mr. Herman already getting in
Yeah,
trouble.
Mr.
We can't
Herman.
even get the meeting started.
Right now,
So we got one
disrupting the
regular.
meeting. I'm going to kick you out. Sit down, sir.
Oh, look at Blob. Look at his face. Look at his fucking face. Look at his face. Look at his
Okay.
face. Look at his face.
Section
That's the
Section
face of
3,
somebody who
project
hates
planning
coming to
process
work.
during the Harbor Department's
Loathes
annual budget process,
coming to work.
with consideration
That's
to the
that
Harbor
face.
Department's economic and financial outlook, pursuant to Sections 9 and 10. 6. Plan modification. In the event of needs to modify the plan as proposed, including without limitation, general economic trends, declining financial outlook, legal issues, and the extent that public access projects are
Randy.
needed, the Harbor Department will notify public stakeholders to facilitate public comment and may subsequently take board action
Don't
to
hear
adjust the
anything-
percentage
anything
of
on the news
operating
either,
income
Misty.
downward.
What's going on in Torrance that's so big?
An additional instruction says, instruct the CAO in coordination
Nothing on
with
the
the
news.
executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, the CLA, the city attorney, and the city clerk to report with proposed amendments and
barricade.
processes needed to
sit there
establish
10
a
hours
Port of
waiting
Los
for nothing.
Angeles leasing policy section in the charter, and to be considered within charter reform processes and requires changes to existing policy that details the establishment and implementation of the following. 1. Each application for leasing,
cat, good morning.
including lease extension or amendment
What's up, Blushy?
or development
Happy
of
Taco
Harbor
Tuesday.
Department property, shall measure how the proposed project, qualitatively and quantitatively,
Yeah, I don't
would
know how
impact both direct
you
and
watching it on,
indirect
even?
jobs associated with the premises,
on the
including the
news.
number and types of jobs impacted,
That's awesome.
and identifies the verifiable proof of whether the
Rosacea,
employee
sorry.
effects would be neutral, increase, or decrease the baseline job count. And 2. Mandate procedural and substantive changes needed for the port plans or policies in order to codify the leasing policy specific for its application to all development applications and leasing transactions, including,
I'm saying,
without
RJ.
limitation, lease agreements,
there 10 hours
i.e.
watching
leases,
nothing.
permits, and
SWAT
revocable
standing
permits,
outside.
all lease agreement amendments, term extensions, assignments, and subleases. And CD15, is there a second to this motion? Okay, and then CD11 is the second.
I just
on
like
this
looking at
motion.
Bob's face. Look at his face right now.
Okay.
Look at his face. Not a face of a guy who enjoys
Mr.
coming
Hairstyles.
to work. Look at him.
I'd like to call item
Look at
one
his face.
special.
No enjoyment. Zero.
For the purposes
Zero.
to move that the city council approve the Department of Building
Randy.
and Safety recommendations.
Is there a second to Mr. Harris Dawson's motion?
Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Huh.
Okay.
I wonder why.
Mr.
Maybe they
Price.
lost their
Thank you,
license
Mr.
to
President.
do it, Ismail?
I
I
need to
wouldn't
recuse
think they'd
myself
just
from
do
item
it for
30
no
because my wife's
reason and stop
employer
making it. Makes
has
so
worked
much
with
money.
applicants on this item.
Got to be
And
something
I'd like,
behind it.
to hold item 14 for an amendment.
Got to be
I
something
think the
behind
city
it.
attorney has that language.
Okay, City Attorney, have the amended language for 14 to read into the record?
Calamity girl.
Yes.
You think he's wearing
The
makeup?
amendment on item 14 reads that I move that item number 14 on today's council agenda be amended to adopt
True,
the
RJ.
following recommendation
Something
in lieu of the
legal, yeah,
committee
that's what I'm
report
saying,
recommendation.
Ismail.
2.
They have
Direct the
separate
Department of
licenses
General
for everything,
Services
as you probably
in
already
consultation
know.
with the city
So
attorney
they may have lost
and the
the
city
license in
engineer
order
to take the
to
actions needed
manufacture
to lease the
concentrates.
city's interest in the
So they'll
vacation
stick
area
to making the flour.
based on evaluation.
They'll give the flour to
based on
somebody else.
a
They'll make
valuation
the
report
concentrates
or
and then they'll
other
sell it
relevant
aside.
market valuations
You know,
prepared by the city.
not have anything to do with Jungle Boys, although
And
it is
leave
Jungle
the second
Boys.
to CD6.
If that makes any sense. Because I have
So, Ms.
friends that
Padilla,
do that too.
seconds.
They got to get around the law sometimes.
Okay, are
That's
there
just
any
it.
other item? Mr. Jaroslawski, we got a lot today.
I have a proposed amendment to item 27, which I've
Confirmed.
submitted
What's
to
up,
the city
Tawana?
attorney, and I would ask that he would read
How
that
are
into
ya?
the record, please.
City Attorney, if you read that into the record.
Yeah. Ivan's a nice guy. I met those guys a couple times at Be Real TV. They were always generous. They'd bring big bags of Jungle Boys over so we could enjoy different flavors of theirs. Speaking
have
of
the amendment?
flavors, I'm smoking
Yes.
the Zittles right now. Let's get it.
The amendment reads that I move that item 27 on today's council agenda be amended to add the
Calamity
following
Girls at the
new
ribbon cutting?
recommendation. Attachment A,
Ed she was
proposed
with Ed
charter
Steve.
amendments for November 2024. New items, section 242 and 245. Section 242, conduct of business.
It's funny,
The
Rick.
council shall be the sole judge of the election and qualifications of its members. Meetings and records of the proceedings of the council and the committees of the council shall be open to the public, except that closed sessions may be held as permitted by law. The council shall have the exclusive power to organize its business and prescribe the rules of its proceedings and preserve order at its meetings, subject to the following.
Yeah, I think Race
A,
Fuel is really just
the council
jet
shall
fuel.
hold regular
Kinda
meetings,
renamed,
and
same strain.
weekly is in bold, and the following language is struck. At least 3 days each week. End of the struck language. Meetings may be held in City Hall or elsewhere in the city. By resolution, the council may establish periods during which the council or its committees will be in recess. The council and its committees may each hold special meetings with proper notice. Section 245, City Council veto of board actions.
Yeah, the jet fuel
Actions
was
of
Be
boards
Real
of
stuff.
commissioners shall
With a
become
dude named
final
Ennis,
at the
and then they
expiration
parted
of
ways.
2 meeting days.
Jet fuel
or,
became its own
and this is in
brand.
bold, 14 calendar
from a
days,
strain to its
end
own
of the
brand.
bold language, whichever is greater. And the following language is struck.
It was actually
The
created by
next
my
5
buddy
meeting
Kenji.
days of the council.
just say
end
somebody
of
ended
struck
up with it.
language. During
Leave it
which
at
the
that.
council has convened in regular
out
session,
to Kenji.
unless the council acts within that time by 2/3 vote to bring the action before it, or to waive review of the action, except that, as to any action of
You
the
know,
Board of
again, you
Police
can't- they can't
Commissioners
use the name
regarding the
jet
removal
fuel,
of the
so they'll
chief of
have to
police,
change it, and they
the
maybe
time
to race
period
fuel.
within which the council may act before the action of the board shall become final.
Let's go.
Smoke.
Sunday
Shall
sherbet.
become final shall be 3 meeting dates, or and
the
21
Zittles
calendar
taste so
days,
fine.
which is the new language, whichever is greater, and it strikes the previous language of 10 meeting days,
I can just taste
during
it.
which the council has
I can just
convened
taste
in
it.
regular session.
It's in here. I can taste it.
And I believe it's seconded by CD1
Are we about to get the up the skirt shot?
and co-presented by CD15.
Is that Ms. Hernandez and Mr. McCosker? Okay, you seconded it? Okay. Okay. Mr. De Leon, I believe you had a special item to call special?
Just item 13, continue it for 90 days.
Sorry, say it again.
13.
Right,
item
Cubby?
13.
Item 13.
Yeah, continue 90 days.
Okay, without
I'm
objection.
going to find somebody to do
And
it.
so that means for
Week
the
or
record,
two.
item 13 is continued to August 30th.
There's 2 vets closer to my
Okay.
house, literally within 4 blocks, but neither of them
All
will
right.
take him
Are there any other
because they're not
specials?
taking any more new animals. Apparently, they
Councilwoman
have a roster of animals.
Thank you so
and that's
much,
enough
Mr.
to keep
Chair.
them afloat.
On item number 27.
Now I got to go way further. And I
Mr.
don't like
City
taking
Attorney,
them very
can you
far.
please
It's
read my
stressful for
amendments
him.
to 27A.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
The amendment on item number 27 reads that I move that item
I know,
27
Polly, but it's
on
like
today's
dental
council agenda
insurance. When you
be
go to the
amended
dentist
to
with
adopt
dental
the
insurance,
following
they don't pay for
additional
much,
recommendation.
and you keep paying.
Attachment A,
Kinda like
proposed
my,
charter amendments for
health
November
insurance.
2024.
700 a
Refer
month,
the following
but yet you go to the
items
doctor and
proposed
still
for the
50,
November
60 bucks
2024
to just
ballot
walk in.
to the Charter Reform Commission for consideration, and
boy, you might as well pay for
instruct
it.
the CAO to initiate
Peter?
discussions with
Good
the
evening.
city's labor partners on the following matters. 1. Los Angeles World
getting your
Airports,
drone on?
item number
Fuck yeah,
7
Taiji.
and 8. 2.
Good afternoon, bud.
City Administrative
What's up,
Officer,
boss?
items number
Happy
12
droning?
and 17. Personnel Department, items number 20, 21, 24, and 25. 4. City Attorney, items number 3, 38, and 41. And 5. Board of Public Works, item numbers 48, 49, and 50.
A mobile vet? Well, I
And
didn't
for the
think
record,
of a mobile vet.
this motion is
Are
being
there any
seconded by
legitimately
CD15.
good ones?
And I also have 2 amendments from CD2
What's up, Shell? Good morning.
Okay, if you could read those into the record.
for
Good
item number
morning.
27 on both.
Good morning.
So the first motion reads that I move that item number 27 on today's council agenda be amended to add the following recommendation. Attachment A, proposed city
I don't think so,
proposed charter
Juiceface.
amendments for November
They did
2024.
vote and allow
CAO, item
the
number
pride
19.
flag to be put on City
Instruct
Hall.
the city attorney to draft a charter amendment
that's up.
to amend certain sections of Article 11, Part 3
buddy.
of the city charter,
buddy.
and authorize the city council, conditioned upon approval of the ballot measure by a majority of voters at the November 2024 election, to later adopt an implementing ordinance that
20
would
minutes and Daddy
A,
will feed you.
allow peace officers currently employed,
Hi, Marsh.
i.e., active Lacers members, by the city's police, airport, and harbor departments to make a one-time irrevocable transfer from the Los Angeles City Employees Retirement System, Lacers, into the Los Angeles Fire and Police Pensions, LAFPP, System Tier 6, allow certain peace officers to transfer their prior years of service from Lacers to Tier 6 upon membership, and amend Lacers provisions to enable those Lacers members who had previously elected not to transfer their service to LAFPP Tier 6 to do so now. B. Require the city
ACL,
to
thank you
pay
so much.
all
Shout out to
costs
you in Texas.
associated with the transfer of qualified employees, as stated in the letter of agreement between the City of Los Angeles Airport Police Officers Association, represented bargaining units. C. Provide
know
for
what that is,
tax-compliant refunds of all monies previously paid by LAFPP
I don't know what that is.
Tier 6 members employed by the airport department as sworn peace officers to transfer their service credits when they moved from Lacers to LAFPP pursuant to Charter Section 1704. D. Provide for tax-compliant refunds of all monies previously paid by LAFPP Tier 6 members employed by the police department as sworn peace officers to transfer their service
that
credits
gift station.
when they moved from Lacers to LAFPP pursuant to Charter Section 1703, and E. Authorize any action required to effectuate the purpose of the charter amendment as may be determined by the city attorney. And this motion is seconded by CD15 as well.
My mots?
And the second motion from CD2 reads, I move that item number 27 on today's council agenda be amended to add the following additional recommendations. Attachment A, proposed charter amendments for November 2024. Instruct the CAO to initiate discussions with the city's labor partners upon action by the council on the following items or any other items in the charter that impact personnel hiring and civil service provisions. LAWA, Items 7 and 8.
Lawa?
CAO.
Ooh,
Item
Sax is going to
17.
have fun with that one.
Personnel.
What's
Items
Lawa
24 and 25. Public Works. Items 48, 49, and 50.
That's pretty stupid.
Request the city attorney to draft an ordinance to effectuate the following items. Harbor. Item 1 and Item 1A. LAWA. Item 3. CAO. Items 13, 15, and 15A. Refer the following item from consideration for November 2024 to the Charter Reform Commission. CAO. Item 11 and Item 11A. Amend and refer the following item from consideration for November 2024 to the Charter Reform Commission. CAO items 14 and 14A. Withdraw the, and this is in quotes, best value, end of quotes, language, and refer the
3.6
small
billion?
and veteran preference
Not much.
to the Charter Commission. Note and file the following items inasmuch as the
I think that's why we're
CAO requested that
1.3
these matters
trillion
be
in debt
withdrawn from
now.
consideration. CAO. Items 16 and 18. Amend the following item inasmuch as Attachment A inadvertently omitted the ad hoc committee's action. City Attorney. Item 32. The sections should also be clarified to confirm that, and it deletes the word work
Let's
and
go,
adds
bro.
the words
How long is this
financial
shit?
audits of the city's controller, and delete the word is and add the word are to be conducted in accordance with generally accepted government auditing standards.
And put in they, them.
And amend and add the following item for the November 2024 ballot. City Attorney, item CC28, Attachment B. Amend the charter to provide the city attorney with subpoena power for investigating any violations of state or local law.
I want to find out what the definition of trillium is. What the fuck is trillium?
Is there a second to that second
He
amendment?
took a breath after that. Look at his face.
Is there a second to that amendment?
Hysterical. Look at his face. Just look at that face. That's a face of somebody who hates being
CD4.
where he's at.
Councilman
Zero
Rahman,
joy.
seconds?
And I
Okay.
mean zero joy.
And Councilman Rahman, for what purpose do you rise? Do you
I wanted to call an item special.
Okay, perfect.
Not item 27. I had item 24 for comments.
Okay.
And item
Resting
30,
face.
I want to move that we note and file the LAHD report and adopt the CAO report when we vote on it. It was waived out of my committee.
Is there a second to Councilmember Rahman's motion?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Still have Councilwoman Hernandez. You're on the board. Did you have another item? Yes. Go ahead, Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, Council President. And I know some of these were called, but I just want to call items, and just to confirm if they weren't. 19, 20, 21, and 25 special for a separate vote.
Councilmember,
I'm
that's
just talking
19,
about the
20,
state
and
of California,
25?
Michael.
19,
That's all I was
20,
talking about.
21,
That's what
and
you're talking about.
25.
19,
Not the
20,
country.
21, and 25.
Okay. Be noted. Without objection, there'll be separate votes on those. Any other specials before I get to
Cue the circus music.
Mr. De Leon?
Neon
No
tent.
special, but I have an amendment to item 27. City Attorney has the language.
Toupee looks good today.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's
Item
all
27.
him. Man. Maybe he used
Requested
Rogaine or
amendment.
something, but that's all him.
City Attorney, if you would read that one into the record.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. The amendment reads that I move that item 27 on today's
Deal.
council agenda be amended to add the following recommendation for the November 2024 ballot. 1. Instruct the CAO in consultation with the city attorney and the city's labor partners to draft language that would allow exempt employees who have 10 years or more experience to be eligible for civil service status upon completion of their exempt employment.
Is there a second?
Being told that the second is CD2.
Well, I don't. Mr. Krikorian's not here. I'll go ahead and second that in the interim, so we can move forward.
Mister, you mean president?
Any other?
You refer to him
special-
what
actually,
he is.
29.
You ain't the
I have a
pres.
technical on that. I don't know
Just
if we've read that
dig.
in the record yet. If you could read that technical
Blob.
amendment into the
And then
record. for
mark
29. Mr. City Attorney.
See, that's what I don't understand. Marquise is the next president coming in September, I believe he starts, right?
And
if
while
he's
looking
there,
for that,
why
are
not
there
have
any other-
him?
We have a lot of specials and amending
And not
motions
Bob.
today. Are there any other specials or amending motions? City Attorney, did you find it?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless he's a
Sorry,
stand-in.
there are a lot of motions.
I
I move
rice.
that
I love
item number
fried rice.
29 on today's council
Fried
agenda
rice last night.
be amended to replace recommendation 1 as follows.
I'm going to have it tonight because it's
1.
leftovers.
Amend the council action of December 12th, 2023, relative to the Arts Development Fee update and at the adoption of the Arts Development Fee Expenditure Report, CF 13-0933-S7, to change the proposed use of 1
Yeah,
and
3
1 is
bags
in
in,
bold,
look out.
Council
Milky.
District 3 account, and the parentheses is also in
Perfect
bold. It's SC67 from Canoga Park Arts District celebration
Where's
to
Sean?
4th of July event.
Sean from Canoga Park better be emceeing that shit. He better be fucking hosting.
Okay. I believe Mr. De Leon seconds
None of you
that.
hosting, but Sean from Canoga Park.
Okay. Any other specials, amendments? We're going to get started with this meeting soon. So, Mr. Lee, you have an announcement.
Of course.
Thank you,
everybody got
Mr.
an
President, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce and welcome the Public Policy Department from the city of Gwangju. They are currently, touring different cities to discuss best practices, best policies on a
farmland?
number of issues that they're addressing within their own city. And I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity. Welcome to the city of Los Angeles, and we hope you well wishes on your tour. All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Wonderful. Okay, we're gonna before we
I
move
want
to
one of
public
those
comment.
green
Also, I
jackets.
want to recognize. I see two folks in the audience from the Democratic Municipal Officials Organization, Jesse Maldonado and Cheyenne Davis Eubanks, who's the president, CEO, and executive director. So give them a round of applause. Democratic Municipal Officials
And there's
is
a couple of your voters right there with their
organization,
face
largest organization
diapers
that
on.
represents Democratic municipal officials throughout the country, and they're here visiting us today. So thank you for being here. All right. Now I believe we can move to public comment.
No, Mr. President. There are several items that council may vote on now where a public hearing has been held, sir.
See, Bob
Shall I
doesn't know what
call
the
out
hell's
those
going on.
numbers?
Please.
Those are items 15,
She needs to put the mask
16,
back on. Agreed?
17, 22, 23, and 28, sir.
She needs to go back to having
Okay.
the face diaper
Do
on.
any members wish to be heard on these items? Seeing no members on
She
the
looked
queue,
better with
let's
the face
open the roll,
diaper.
close the roll, and tally the votes.
15 ayes.
And Mr. President, there are also some items that were called special for separate votes, and a public hearing has been held on those items.
burqa.
I can call those out, so council may vote on them now. And
Don't see
those
the
are
eyes.
items
Just give me those eyes,
19, 20, 21.
She's gonna be like the chick
and
in
25,
European
sir.
Gigolo, where she takes her burqa
Okay,
off and she's got like a dick nose.
Mr. Hernandez, did you wish to have separate votes
Now you
on
know
each
why
of them,
she
or
was
can we
wearing the
take them all
burqa?
on bond? Okay. Then we, without objection, we will take all four of those
Oh, Deucey,
together
baby.
as a separate vote. Okay. Mr. Jaroslawski, did you want to separate those? That's my understanding. Do 19 separately? You wanted to do 19, 20, 21, and 25.
She's
I was going to take them all together unless anyone wants to separate.
She's the newest Victoria's
Okay. Then we'll
Victoria's
take them all
Secret
together.
model, by the way, guys.
Without objection, we're going to take them all together.
Victoria's
unless anyone wants
Secret
to separate
just
those.
hired her.
Did
Look
you
at
want
his
to
face.
separate them?
Look at
No.
his face.
Okay. Got it. We're going to take all four of those votes together. There's no members on the queue. Let's open the roll. Open the roll.
Open the roll. Open the
Close
roll,
the
I
roll.
said.
And tally the votes.
Oh, we got a no in
13
there.
ayes, 2 noes.
2 noes.
Okay. Those items have been agreed to. Are there any other orders of business before we move to public comment?
Council may go on public comment now, sir.
There you go, guys. If you guys
Okay.
want to call in,
If you'd like to read the instructions for public comment?
Here we go. They'll put the number up
Oh,
here.
yes, sir. As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public
There you
comment
go.
should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466, then press pound. Press
If you
pound
wanna
again
call in
when
and voice your
prompted for
opinions, right
participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press
Viewer
star
discretion
9
is
to request
advised
to
now,
speak.
guys. Viewer
When it is
discretion
your
is
turn
advised.
to speak, an automated
Not
Zoom
gonna go
voice will ask you
feed
to press
sticks,
star
Ready
6
to
to
eat?
unmute. Again, call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466, then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. When it's your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press star 6 to unmute.
To people providing public comment, when it is your turn to speak, either at the podium or on the phone, please state which of the agenda items you would like to speak to. You will have 1 minute per item, up to 3 minutes total for the items open for public comment. We will tell you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you are on topic, you will get one brief warning from me or the president. At that point, you need to get immediately and clearly on topic. If you do not do so, or if you again stray off topic, you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time and we will move on to the next speaker. The items open for public comment are items 1 through 12, item number 27 as amended, and items 29 through 39. Again, the items that are open for public comment are items 1 through 12, item number 27 as amended, and items 29 through 39. Members of the public may also speak for up to 1 minute for general public comment. During general public comment, members of the public may speak to any of the other items or anything else in the city's subject matter jurisdiction. For members of the public calling in, when it is your turn to speak, an automated message from Zoom will prompt you to press star 6 to unmute yourself. If you do not do so, council staff will prompt you once more. At that point, you need to immediately unmute yourself, or unfortunately, you will forfeit your time and we will move on to the next speaker. For our callers, because of a brief time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast, 2 things are important. First, while waiting for your turn to speak, please keep an ear to the phone so you know in real time when it is your turn to press star 6 to unmute. Second, if you're listening to this meeting on another device, please turn down the volume on that device immediately when it's your turn to speak. Between the feedback and the time delay, it will cause a great deal of confusion if you continue to listen on your other devices. And finally, if you require the assistance of a Spanish language interpreter, please keep in mind that we do give you additional time to account for the interpreter, and we do pause your time for whenever the interpreter is speaking. So if you could be sure to pause to make sure that the interpreter can actually do their job, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to call a series of names. As I call your name, please make your way to your left-hand side of the council chambers, and our sergeants will be able to direct you up to the podium. You don't need to speak in the order that I call you, but please don't start lining up until I do call you.
What did I miss?
So we will start with Carolina Goodman, Chris R., Lisa Palumbi, Simboa Wright, Janita Iguiler, Marlene Fonseca, Larry Gates, Rob Kwan,
Shit, yeah, Rob Kwan.
and Jane Hirsch. Good morning.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name that you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Good morning, council members. Carolina Goodman, League of Women Voters of Greater Los Angeles. Did I hear you say 26 was not?
26 is not open for public comment, but you can speak to it during general public comment if you'd like.
Even though there was an amendment?
Yes. So.
Okay.
The amendment was not substantive, so we are not reopening public comment on item 26.
Okay, thank you. Okay, regarding 27, there's a recommendation for the Charter Commission to consider reducing the number of city council meetings. In doing so, that would reduce the public's ability to weigh in on important decisions made by city council. For that reason, the League of Women Voters of Greater Los Angeles opposes such a reduction. If anything, the city should be looking for more ways to engage the public, such as remote public comment at committee meetings, post agendas earlier than 72 hours in advance of meetings, and require council members to be on the floor to be counted as present to vote on an item. During general public comment, I'd like to address 26. We support the Public Safety Committee's recommendation to amend Charter Section 1070 in connection with the Los Angeles Police Department Board of Rights. In 2017, we joined a coalition to oppose Measure C. At that time, the research was already clear that civilians on the Board of Rights usually dismiss charges or reduce the penalty for misconduct brought by the police chief. Another general public comment. Thank you for supporting Represent LA's budget request for due process for all. Regarding unarmed crisis response, at last Wednesday's council meeting, 6 of you clearly saw the need to set aside money for implementing centralized dispatch for unarmed crisis response and to provide funds to evaluate the efficacy of these programs. The request was sent back to the Budget, Finance, and Innovation Committee. We urge the committee to agendize this item. As Councilmember Rahman pointed out, planning to implement centralized dispatch or
Speaker,
program
your time has expired.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Mr. Herman, I didn't call you. I didn't call you. Please make way for a speaker that I've called. Mr. Herman, please make way for the speakers that I've called.
Mr. Herman, you are now disrupting our meeting for a second time. You've already been warned. So the council president was very clear. Please do not line up until your name has been called. After your name has been called, you can line up in any order.
Ah, Mr. Herman, skipping the line.
Good
Gotta
morning.
love him.
If you could please remind us of the
He's
name
got
you
the
signed
spunk.
up under and the items you'd like
Gotta
to
love
speak
it.
to.
Good morning. My name is Jane Hirsch, and I'd like to speak to item 27 and general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Okay. I hope you will not reduce the number of council meetings because when there are fewer meetings, more people are coming to the meeting. And I myself came only last week trying to attend the meeting, and I was turned away because there were too many people. So, you know, we need to have more meetings so we'll be able to attend. For general comment,
Hi, Christina.
I'd like to make a comment on item 26. I believe you do have stated that you do have the intention
Stinks
of
is eating. I just
amending
fed
the
him.
charter with regard to the Board
be
of
in here.
Rights.
Thank you,
And
Ian.
I'm
Let's
very
go, Ian.
concerned that the
Is it
police will
Killdozer
be
Day?
held to account, and we need to have a panel of diverse civilians and actually
Graebner's in
be
there.
holding them to account. Because
22.
with the panel that we have now, 76% of the time, they are basically let off, and that's not right.
22 is the line, under or over,
And
22.
then also, I think you are considering, or it's been referred to the
20th
Budget
anniversary.
Committee, to set aside money for a central dispatch for an unarmed crisis response, and that's really critical. The armed response too often leads, as we know, to tragedy, so
Shout out to you,
I
Tiffany.
hope you will set aside the funds for this, for the unarmed response. Thank you.
Tiffany Lenore, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Next speaker,
Glad you're
please.
here.
Welcome.
Shout out to you and the rest of Kansas.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Yes, Samuel Wright, Vice President, SEIU Local 721, item number 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item. Please begin.
Yes, thank you. As Vice President of SEIU Local 721, I appreciate your amendments and instructing the CAO to meet with labor, our labor partners, Sorry about that. The proposed change to the charter will require that the CAO meet and confer with us. We have a rich history of meeting and working together for results for the city, for the communities that we serve, and our members to move forward. I agree with the amendments starting the proposed change should be removed until we meet and the city meets its duties to meet with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Was he the
Good
union
morning.
leader?
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Palombi, and I am here for item 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Palombi. I serve the City of Los Angeles as a senior librarian at the Silver Lake Branch, and I serve my colleagues as the president of the Librarians Guild and AFSCME District Council 36. I came here this morning anticipating talking about item 27 and asking you to pull it. I appreciate all the thought that has gone into it, as evidenced by all the amendments that came to the floor. I am here to say, though, that Labor is still very interested in the council instructing the CAO to continue to work with Labor about any amendments to the charter that affect our members through civil service rules. We thank CD10 for the amendment, and that is our position. Thank you.
That's what it's all about, Tiffany. Shout out to you and your sis.
Good morning. Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Janita Igualer, item number 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item.
Okay. Again, like some of the partners before us, I'm from SEIU 721, and we do want to say thank you for the amendment instructing the CAO to meet and confer with us as labor partners. Many of the changes are things that do require the city to meet and confer. And so our members have a vested interest in an efficient civil service process, and we have worked collaboratively in the past to produce results that work to help the city in their hiring practices. So we agree that the changes should be moved and pulled from the amendment until the city is
Look at him back there running around.
to meet and confer with us.
Look at him
So
back
thanks
there
for the
running
amendment.
around.
We appreciate
Look at
it.
him. Look at him. Look at him.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Fucking love that dude.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Marlene Fonseca, Executive
I love
Director,
you.
EAA,
Oh.
General Public Comment, and item 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
EAA Union represents 6,000 employees in the city of Los Angeles. I want to be clear about our intentions. We do support charter reform to some extent. We do believe it's necessary to update some of the provisions as well as make more efficient examination processes and pathways for employees. However, these changes must be thoroughly discussed and thought through from all angles, including, and I'll go as far as saying especially with labor and the boots on the ground. Many of these proposed changes will affect city employees, our members. And why were we not able to submit proposals? Most of the proposed items require me and confer, and I do appreciate the amendments, so thank you for that. I will point out 17, 23, that might seem simple, but pluralizing words makes an impact. 24, 25, and not only those that are just personnel and CAO related.
General public comment.
Like when they pluralize them, they, and it's only one person.
Proposal number 50 regarding making pathways for exempt employees. With all due respect to Councilmember De Leon's amendment, 10 years is too long. But again, this is something we need to meet and confer on. Many employees that have transferable skills, including all these council aides, are being tossed out, and we need to retain them. Like them or hate them, the bottom line is that all of these proposals need to go through the meet and confer process. Again, thank you for the amendments. We do look forward to meeting on these items and working together to ensure the most efficient changes for our current and future union members. Thank you.
Ben, they started having trouble like
Thank
5
you.
minutes
Next
before I
speaker,
went
please.
on. Their feed dropped. Only their SAP, their Spanish feed was up.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of
And
the
then their
name you
feed's
signed up
now
under
back
and
up
the
on the other
items
side,
you'd
and they're
like to
having
speak to.
more problems.
I signed up under the name Chris R. My name is Chris Reel, and I'm speaking on 27 in general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
The reduction of council meetings is diminishing transparency in the city. Most council members already refuse to engage with the public directly outside of these meetings. And all of you know that.
I think so, Randy.
I mean, all of you are, like, half of you are talking to other people or looking at your phones right now. So I don't know how you expect the public to engage with you if you're not even going to listen. This is especially disappointing to hear from...
I'm sorry. You need to speak to the agenda.
This is especially disappointing to hear from council members like Councilmember Hernandez, who is a progressive. You are standing in the way of transparency by supporting this amendment. We need to have council meetings more than once a week. That's ridiculous, and you know that. It's shameful. Corruption is a serious problem in this council, and if we do not have council meetings to hold you accountable, then I don't know how you expect us to engage with you, because you won't do it any other time.
Buddy, you happy now?
For public comment, I want to say the way that you guys have undermined the controller is also despicable. The CAO is not the CFO. The controller won by 115,000 more votes than all 15 of you combined. The CAO is not an elected position, and what you are doing undermines the controller's authority. I also want to speak quickly about urging the council to divest from Israel. Homes not bombs. We demand an end to the funding of Palestinian death. We demand our resources are used to house the unhoused of Los Angeles. Thank you.
And I demand that you utter
So,
the words Hamas.
thank you. I want to
and
thank everybody
condemn
who's
what
here
they
for
do.
your enthusiasm, but just keep in mind that the speaker's time keeps running while you're applauding,
That
and we
face.
can't hear what the speaker's saying. So if you could wait until they end, I think that would be more respectful to the speakers. Thank you very much. So whoever shouted out, you're disrupting the meeting, you'll be removed if I hear your voice again. Mr. Kwan, go ahead.
It's like a elementary
I'd like to
school.
speak on 26, 27, and general public comment.
Big ups to
Okay,
Rob
so you have
Kwan.
1 minute for item number 27, and you can speak to item
Like Rob
26
Kwan.
during general public comment.
Well, item 26 is related to charter reform, so I can say that you should just refer to that Charter Reform Commission. It's absolutely bullshit that you amend this thing and you're still not going to allow public comment on it. I just am amazed at how this place has evolved over the years, in spite of so many of you going down with corruption and ethics scandals. With item 27, I want to start off speaking about the controller. We see the ghost of Nuri here. The ghost of Nuri Martinez. Just as she wanted to put Councilmember Rahman on a fence, make her work for it, you want to put Mejia on a fence and make him squirm. It's absolutely disgusting.
My girlfriend's
we have
back
a city
there in the
attorney
hallway
refusing
standing
to
up.
defend the city controller in court, pushing to gut their subpoena power, and now we have this whole bullshit with the city attorney and CAO saying that we need to make these small technical tweaks that don't have any big impact. Galling. We have a cheat. We are wanting to rename the CAO to CAO, but also want to call him the CFO? How does that make any sense? We have one person that's elected as the authority of the people, and instead you want to have a mayoral appointee wave that throat. I just cannot believe Councilmember Hernandez, Yaroslavsky, and McCosker rushing through at the 11th hour your effort to gut public input and reduce meetings to once a week. This is just absolutely disgusting. You can't even bring yourselves to think about how you could enhance public input by maybe having evening meetings, remote public comment at committee, requiring members to actually be on the floor like your buddy Adrien Nazarian said they should be. We had this whole conversation from this council president about how we need to reduce the power of the council president. That is nowhere in this charter reform discussion right now. This is going to come back to bite you in the ass because nobody has any reason to believe anything you submit to the ballot, anything your Charter Reform Commission's doing, and they're going to start looking elsewhere for solutions. Good luck.
That's why I like him, man. No nonsense, not
Next
reading from a
speaker.
script, no fucking ums.
And I'm sorry, before you
he's
start,
articulate,
as
but
the
yet he
speaker's
still
coming up,
says
I'm gonna
fuck
call
and
some more
bullshit
names.
and everything too.
Ursula
I like
Vari,
him. Even keel as you
Candace
get.
Hansen,
And
Stephanie
smart.
Wirt,
Shout out to Rob Kwan.
Audrey George, Dr. D, Jasmine Tobar.
Ooh, Dr. D's there.
And Adam Smith.
Good morning. You could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to?
Good morning. My name is Larry Gates, item 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item. Please
Good
begin.
morning again. My name is Larry Gates. I'm with ASWE District Council 36 and president of Local 3090, representing 6,000 city employees. We are asking for item 27 be passed with Council District's 10's amendments. We look forward to meeting and conferring. Thank you very much.
Guys, do you mind if I pause for just a second and just
Next
switch
speaker.
to the other feed? We'll do it after this speaker because I think their feed's a little better now. It's fixed.
Good morning. If you could
on the
please remind
normal
us of
side
the
where we
name you
watch
signed
it.
up
This
under
shit is
and
so
the items you'd like to speak
pixelated.
to?
Good morning, Council. My name is Ursula Vari, and I'm here for item 24 and also for general public comment.
Okay, so item number 24 is not open for public comment, but you can speak to it during general. So you have 1 minute for general public comment.
I am an LA resident. I'm also UCLA alumni. On April 30th at around 11 p.m., UCLA students were brutally attacked by a violent pro-Israel mob at the peaceful Gaza Solidarity encampment. The horrific attack lasted close to 4 hours. The mob launched fireworks at the tents, used
Good.
bear mace, kicked and
Good.
stomped on the students
Good.
with poles and bats.
Good.
UCLA campus police sipped their coffee a few feet from where the mob brutally beat a student, hitting
Good.
him in the head with a pole.
Awesome.
I called 911 13 times and was told that LAPD was on the ground at UCLA, yet they did nothing. They
Good.
didn't interfere until after 3 a.m. 25 members of the encampment were hospitalized overnight.
Wow.
No one from the mob was arrested. It is us community members who identified many of the attackers despite LAPD's sophisticated face recognition system. The following day, LAPD showed at UCLA with a massive force in full riot gear to dismantle the encampment. They threw flashbangs, shot rubber bullets at close range at the students, resulting in injuries.
That was a CHP.
Council members, what kind of country are we where law enforcement
Thank
commits
you.
violence against peace?
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Give her the water cannon. Give her the water cannon. Whap! 40 Mike, here it goes.
Good morning.
Hi, Speaker. So if you'd remind us
Nice
of the
face
name
diaper.
you signed up under and what
CNR?
items you want to speak on?
Hi, Council Member. My name is Candace Hansen, and I'm here to speak on
All right,
24
hold on.
as well as general comment.
So we can hear Candace. Just give me a sec here. Hold on. All right, just that's the live shot of what's going on. Let me just because guys, they had technical difficulties when we started, so yeah. I think this is about it. Yep, we'll just go back from her.
What kind of country are we where law enforcement
Thank
commits
you.
violence against peace?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next
Thank
speaker, please.
Thank you. Sit down. Nobody gives a fuck. All right. Definitely less pixelated. What's going on? Why is that on there like that? Oh,
Good morning.
Hi, Speaker. So if
That's
you'd remind us of the name you signed up under and what items you want to speak on?
Hi, Council Member.
Hey,
My
Gross
name is
back.
Candace
I mean,
Hansen, and I'm here to speak on 24
Bobble.
as well as general comment.
There
Okay,
we
so
go.
I think 24 is not open for public comment, but you have
Damn
a
it.
minute.
See,
for
now
general,
that's
so please
having
go
the
ahead.
problems.
Great.
here.
I'm an 8th-year grad student at UCLA. I have family roots in Southern California. I have grandparents buried in Los Angeles, and I am absolutely not just devastated, but I am the most angry I have ever been as a student at UCLA in 10 years between undergrad and grad student. I'm going to just say, I have students. I finished grading my midterms at the encampment. It was a peaceful environment where people were advocating for a free Palestine and for our rights as students to divest and disclose about where our tuition money and where our taxes as student employees are going. I have a student, listen to me, I have a student who had their head cracked 30 times by a Zionist mob who attacked my students. I have a student whose mother called LAPD while she was in the encampment with her daughter, a 19-year-old girl who was beaten by a violent mob, and she called LAPD and they hung up on her more than 10 times. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Thank you.
Of course, when I go back to the feed, they're having problems again.
Next speaker, please.
Hopefully it stops. We'll give it a minute here. If not, I'll go back to the other one.
Hi, Mr. Smith. What items did you sign up for?
Excuse me?
Hi, Mr. Smith. Which items did you sign up for?
Well, I'd like to speak to 18, 24, and general public comment.
I think the only ones that are, I think 18 and 24 are not open, so it's general public comment, so you have a minute.
All right. My name's Adam Smith from
Yeah.
LA-CAN's Human and Civil
I
Rights
think we'll
Committee.
go back to the other
Last night, 150 to 200 LAPD officers in riot gear surrounded and kettled about 50 people protesting against the ongoing genocide in Gaza, destroying nearly 50 painted tents and other artwork in solidarity with Palestinians facing constant death at the hands of U.S.-funded and supported Israeli violence. I'd like to also read some of the community demands lifted up last night. Number one, the mayor of LA and the city council must call for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Palestine and must urge state and federal government to do the same.
Good luck
Number
with
two,
that.
homes not bombs. We demand an end to the funding of Palestinian death. We demand our resources are used to house the unhoused in Los Angeles. Number three, we demand the city controller disclose all financial ties between the city of LA and Israel. Number four, the city of LA must divest from all financial ties to Israel.
Notice
much
every
as it
one of
did
them
40
says
years ago with
divest.
Apartheid South Africa.
Notice
Number
that?
five, LAPD
Just like the word
must
felon.
end all ties with Israel, including LAPD trainings and acquisitions of Israeli technology for Palestine.
Huh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next
Huh.
speaker, please.
Next Nazi, please. It's like the Third Reich in here. She came back up to talk again.
Thank you.
Speaker,
Can't hear
Please
you,
have a
dumb
seat.
shit.
There's a speaker
I
who's
know you're a
ready to
low
speak
IQ
now.
fucking
You're
Democrat,
disrupting the meeting.
Palestinian idiot.
Hello, Speaker.
But
If you
no,
could
we
please
can't
announce
hear you.
The name you signed up under and what you'd like to speak on.
Dr. D, and I will speak on public comment.
We haven't had
'cause you
Dr.
won't
D in a
allow
while.
speaking on
You have a minute.
item
See, now it's
24.
good. Knock on wood.
I would like to reinforce what Adam Smith just said about the list of demands. These are coming from the broader community. You have to stop the LAPD from attacking peaceful protesters, from destroying their property,
I have no problems with it.
injuring them, and from just making their lives pure havoc. This is freedom of speech. To demand that the city divest from all investments in Israel.
Or divest.
To demand
Divest.
that there be money saved and spent on housing people. That housing report shows how that rule that you use to displace people only housed 2 people. $3 million. 2 people housed. Get it right.
Big ups to the LAPD.
Thank you. And as our next speaker is coming up, I'd like to also
Shout out to all the men and women of
remind our
LAPD
speakers that we
doing
do
good
have
jobs.
A translator
Doing
who's
what we pay
wearing
them to do.
headphones. So if you shout into the microphone, it actually is potentially damaging to.
You need to
his
divest from
so please
Hamas.
don't do that.
How's about that one?
Good morning.
Good morning. You could please remind
Oh,
us
we're
of the
back
name
to
you
fucked
signed
up
under
again.
and the items you'd like to speak
What's
to.
going on today?
Audrey G., 26, and the one about reducing the number of meetings. I don't know what number that.
Okay, so the items that you're requesting are not open for
Damon,
public
you will
comment, but
suffer,
can speak to
Fel.
them during
I don't know
general.
what that
So you
means.
have 1 minute for general public comment.
27 is
Hello,
one of those.
you speak English, sir?
should be-
Follow
So you have 1
state
minute for item
English?
27 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Okay, first I want to talk to you about what Adam introduced about the community demands. And I want you to know that thousands and thousands of
Their
people
side, not
making those
me.
demands are Jewish like myself. We don't want all this horrendous murders and genocide going in our name. The mayor and city council must call for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Palestine and urge state and federal bodies and agencies to demand the same. We demand also homes, not bombs. The funding of Palestinian death must stop. Use those resources to house LA's unhoused people, but not to add to the 3 million plus 4118 enforcement that has
That's it,
permanently
Sean.
housed only 2 people. To that end, we demand that the city controller disclose all financial ties between LA and Israel so that the city can then proceed to divest from all those ties.
5
So,
divest.
Speaker, that was your general public
That's
comment.
5
So you can speak
divests.
for a
They
minute
all
on
got
item
the
27
script.
if you'd like.
Just like the
Even
news
though,
with Felon.
I mean, it resonated with me a lot that that the
what people said about not only are you almost impossible except a leases to engage with outside of this body. Most of you are not paying attention to public comment anyway.
So, Speaker, this is not on the agenda, and you've used your minute for general public comment
So,
already.
in other words, reducing the number of meetings is just pure ridiculous and outrageous. And I also want to just mention, who thinks it's okay to purchase LAPD's canines from a company whose name
Okay, thank you. That's not on item
to
27.
Hitler's
So
bunker?
your time has expired. Thank you. Next speaker.
Yeah, I'd rather vote for a felon than a map.
Jasmine Tovar, general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
See, when they switch to the other camera, he doesn't even realize it.
I am a USC doctoral student.
Look at this
and social
camera.
worker. I'm here to speak
It's
with
the
great
camera.
concern about the
Camera
item
two
24,
shot.
the need for a transparent after-action report on excessive force used by peaceful student protesters at UCLA and at USC. The use of police force was not only a violation of their constitutional rights to protest, but also a ridiculous use of city funding to repress student organizing. As a longtime South Central resident, the ongoing police militarization is always evident.
I think it's the wire connected, probably.
During the time in
Wires
question, the
always
police
go
force was
bad.
ridiculous, and never-ending police helicopters were overwhelming my BIPOC neighbors who historically have experienced police repression. It was also an unnecessary use of force of city funding in which could be used for crucial services for Angelinos. I hope members of the City Council do the right thing and hold the LAPD accountable. For many of my USC peers, especially the young students, the long-term trauma and PTSD due to the police violence they endured during the peaceful student demonstration is something that will follow them forever.
Thank you very much.
Who spilled something in the aisle there?
As our
Cop's
next
got a
speaker
wet
is coming
floor.
up, I'm going to call a few more names. I'm going to call some names. Anna Weiss, Nathan Sue, Ellen von Zermeulen, Justin McBride, Maddie Bryant, Anand Ayakonishi, Corina Fuller, Leah Jacobson, and Wesley Gates.
All right. Notice he doesn't want to call
Good morning. If you could
Her,
please remind us
Spindler
of
or
the name
Herman
you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak
or
to.
Grabner.
Yes, my name is Stephanie Wirt, and I would like to speak under item 27 and general public
Let me
comment.
guess, you want to
So you have 1
divest
minute for
too.
the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
Great. Hi, my name is Stephanie Wirt, and I'm here today as a UAW
I'm gonna make a shirt,
member,
never divest.
and a resident in Shreveport. Forums are the public, for the public to have a voice in the city council are absolutely essential. So it's in this forum that I'm asking you to hold the LAPD accountable to the UCLA and USC communities and urge you to drop all the charges against all individuals arrested during peaceful protests at
Frankie.
UCLA and USC April 24th to May 6th, 2024. Many of my friends and colleagues have joined
VHS five.
movements to protest Israel's war on Palestine. They are students, mental health professionals, service workers, and concerned parents who are fed up with seeing images of starving children in destroyed communities coming out of Gaza.
Stop looking
They
at
have
it.
a right to peacefully take a stand and call on their government to stop supporting this destruction. This kind of free expression is the bedrock of our democracy. Instead of LAPD protecting and upholding this right to peacefully assemble, our coworkers were kicked,
So, Speaker,
maced.
that's your general
Good.
public comment, but you're welcome to speak for a minute on item 27 per your request.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I would like to say that I believe that we should have these forums more often, and in these forums, I would like to address things such as the City Council. You have the responsibility to ensure that community members exercising their rights to peacefully protest in public spaces are met with peaceful response and are kept safe. This was not the case when LAPD
Yeah,
So,
Lucky.
Speaker,
responded.
again, respectfully, you've used your 1 minute for general public comment. You've requested a minute on item number 27, but what you're going into is not on topic right now. So,
Well, if there were more public meetings, I would have more time to speak. Thank you.
Really quick, I'm gonna pause it just for a second. I'm gonna let you guys know. Put new or old. Okay, this is the new feed. The old feed that we were watching has a shittier, more pixelation, but doesn't have the crackle. This one has better picture, but has a crackle. when they switch to that second camera. Let me know. Old or new? Which one you want to watch? Hurry. Old, new crackle. Old, new. Old. All right, I guess old. I hate to go back and forth. I think the olds want it here. So let me. This is the old one, but we gotta speed up it a little bit here. Hold on.
I'm asking you to hold the LAPD accountable to the UCLA
Oh, great! I
and
can't.
USC communities and urge you to drop all charges against all
We're
individuals
gonna have
arrested
to
during
miss
peaceful campus protests. For the
because
last
they won't
month,
allow me
UC
to
has authorized
rewind.
violence against workers
Fuck.
and students peacefully protesting on campus. Outside agitators burned by protesting coworkers and beat people with pipes and boards, all while police stood by and watched. The next night, LAPD came in to arrest protesters with flashbang grenades and rubber bullets. The smoke gave one person acute respiratory failure, and another protester suffered a brain hemorrhage. Student and workers' futures at UCLA, USC, and beyond are in jeopardy with looming misdemeanor charges, and thus university-raised student conduct charges.
So we didn't miss anybody.
Community members
We went right to it.
exercising their rights to peaceful protest in public
We're
spaces
good.
should be met with peaceful response
I'm looking
and
on the other
kept
side.
safe. That was not the case when LAPD responded to the campus protest. The violence unleashed on students and workers at UCLA and USC should be met with accountability.
Come here,
Thank
little
you.
dude.
Next speaker,
I'll lick
please.
the tears off your cheek for you.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Yes, I'm Ellen Wassermulen, and I'd also like to make a general public comment because I'll be speaking to item 24.
At least there's no
You
crap.
have 1 minute for general public
It
comment.
was annoying.
Thank you. I'm here also as UAW 4811 member and a grad student and instructor at UCLA. And I want to echo the calls from the people before me that the council hold the LAPD accountable not only for their gross negligence on the night of April 30th, but also for their violent attacks against the peaceful student protesters on May 1st, going into May 2nd. We also urge that all charges be dropped against any protesters who were arrested for peaceful protests at UCLA, USC, and off campus as well. This violence authorized against our students, union members, faculty, and other community members at these universities and beyond
No, Kenneth.
is completely abhorrent. And as an instructor, I saw firsthand how much this affected my students who expressed to me in the days following these violent attacks how unsafe they felt on campus because of the police presence. Which not only leads to violence, but also to instances of racial profiling and harassment that have occurred since then. We request again that the charges
hair.
against anyone
Remember
arrested
him?
be dropped. Okay, thank you.
Still got
Thank
the-
you. Next speaker,
Another
please.
communist Democrat professor there from UCLA.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Maddie Bryant, general public comment.
Why don't
Okay,
they gotta
so you have
switch
1
the
minute.
cameras so much?
I am a graduate student and member of UAW 4811, resident in CD10. Urge you to vote in favor of item 24, supporting an after-action report to review LAPD's actions, noting that the last month has greatly decreased the trust that many of our students hold for both our university and for LAPD, and that trust was not very high to begin with. I would also urge for greater protections for peaceful protesters, and to the extent that you all have any power to drop the charges against students for their actions to peacefully protest.
Yeah.
Well, shoot. I was done.
We could hear you. It's okay.
Okay. But yeah, I was done. I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
My name is Anna Weiss, and I'd like to speak on general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment.
I'm Anna Weiss. I'm the vice president of Local 872, the first academic workers union at USC, and I'm also a grad student and research assistant at USC.
Does that make you
I'm
special?
here to speak in support of Measure 24. The Local 872 Executive Board has publicly condemned USC in the strongest and most emphatic possible terms for its alarming escalation and use of force when calling LAPD riot police to arrest peaceful protesters on April 24th. This decision to call them riot police was an egregious reaction to the peaceful protesters, a majority of whom were USC students, grad workers, and faculty, expressing their rights to free speech on their very own campus. Local 872 members also recently passed a resolution with a resounding 97% yes vote, which called for amnesty for all student protesters who are now facing misdemeanor criminal charges, as well as a statement of no confidence in our university president, Carol Folt, and provost, Andrew Guzman.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. If you could please
wasn't the
remind us of the
communist
name you
telling
signed
other
up under
people how
and
to
the
live their
items you'd like
lives.
to speak to.
My name is
call you out for
Anand.
being a
I
communist.
am
That's
speaking
it.
on item 24 as part of general comment.
So you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
My name is Anand. I'm the president of Local 872 at USC, the first ever academic workers union there, and a constituent of Councilmember Yaroslavsky's CD5. I'm asking you to hold LAPD accountable to the USC, UCLA, and extended Los Angeles communities for their overtly aggressive actions against my coworkers, fellow students, faculty, and staff on campuses, on our shared campuses from April 24 to May 6th. As a grad student at USC and as a union member, it is incredibly concerning to me and the members of our union that USC and UCLA authorized the massive LAPD forces in riot gear to arrest and brutalize our union members and our community members engaging in the right to peaceful protest, and also to militarize our campuses, further establishing their unfair and uncontrolled power dynamics against us. The fact that tens of dozens of police in riot gear, were deployed to attack and repress students is appalling to me. It's even more concerning to me that the police took such unprecedented action against our members of our sister union at 4811, especially when they stood by.
Thank you very much.
You notice
Thank you, sir.
they don't ever
Next
mention the
speaker,
CHP. They don't want that smoke from the chippers, man. Shout out to the chippers.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under.
They
and the
don't
items
want
you'd like to
smoke.
speak
I'm Justin McBride. I'll speak on general.
They don't want that smoke,
So you have 1
son.
minute for general public comment.
My name is Justin McBride. I'm a Los Angeles resident of CD1 and a doctoral student at UCLA, proud member of UAW 4811. I'm here to speak in support of Motion 24. I think all of us have been shocked by the response to what have been pretty common student protests on the UCLA campus. I'm sure many members of this city council, as young people, were involved in protests of their own and probably did not have to face rubber bullets and tear gas and flash grenades for their activity. We've come to expect this from UC. They do this kind of thing all the time to suppress our voices as union members and as students. But it's really sad to see our beautiful city roped into this. We want some accountability from the city. We want to know how those decisions were made and how these acts of aggression came to pass. And so I urge you all to vote yes on Motion 24. Thank you.
How come you're not saying
Thank
divest?
you.
You didn't get the
Next
script,
speaker,
huh?
please.
Here comes another one. Yes or no? Does she say divest at some point?
Good morning.
I'm
If you
saying
could
yes.
Please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Karina Fuller. I'm here with general public comment in relation to item 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please
All
begin.
right. Hello, everybody. My name's Karina Fuller. I'm a UAW 4811 member and a doctoral student at UCLA. I'm a resident of District 13. I'm asking you today to hold the LAPD accountable to our community and urge you to drop all charges against all individuals arrested during the peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. So I was fortunate enough to not be at the encampment the night of April 30th, the night of the attack at UCLA. But on that night, I woke up to my phone continuously buzzing as friends and fellow protesters within the encampment signaled their distress and frantically tried to organize themselves amidst an ongoing violent attack. I turned on the news to see live footage of my friends, colleagues, and students being brutalized. It got so bad that anchors on the news were telling their crews to leave. All the while, LAPD stood there and did nothing. Whatever the police were there to do, it was not to protect the students, and for that reason, I need you all to hold the LAPD accountable and drop all charges against the peaceful protesters.
Next speaker, please.
Jake and Patty and Man Bear, you guys won. I thought you were going to say it. You know, she's not talking about her students. Those friends had poles and shit too. They had weapons. Let's go back and watch the videotape. They don't lie like you just
My name is
did.
Leah Jacobson, and I'll be speaking under general public comment with regards to item 24.
My doctor friend.
Hi, my name is Leah Jacobson, and I am a constituent of Heather Hutt and a Jewish graduate student at UCLA. In the early morning hours of May 2nd, my colleagues and I were on campus until 6 a.m. watching in awe as our campus was turned into a militarized battleground with flash grenades and rubber bullets firing constantly for hours. The previous night, we watched in equal awe as the LAPD silently watched as a violent pro-Israel mob launched fireworks and tear gas canisters into the Palestine Solidarity encampment. I spent that night pouring saline solution into my classmates' eyes.
Good.
The LAPD spent that night sipping coffee.
Good.
The differential treatment of students peacefully supporting Palestine compared to a violent pro-Israel mob was blatantly clear. As a teaching assistant in the sociology department, I have had multiple undergraduate teenage students come into my office hours desperate for help dealing with the trauma they experienced at the hands of the LAPD, unable to focus on coursework and afraid to come to campus to attend class.
Sure.
As students and union members, we have a right to peaceful protest on our campus, which was not honored by the LAPD. The City Council needs to investigate the actions of the LAPD and push for charges against peaceful protesters to be dropped. Divest from Israel and free Palestine.
Oh, we got a divester.
Thank
We got
you.
a divester.
Before our next speaker comes up, I'm going to call a few more names. If you could just hang on 1 second, I'm going to call a few more names. Desmond Fonseca, Caleb,
Another
Jacqueline Perez,
communist Democrat.
Jason Contino, Brett Hu, Kyle Scott, Shannon Forrest, Shota Vashakmadze, Kai, Eli, and Albert Bomer, please.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Hi, my name is Aya Konishi, and I'd like to speak to general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Hi, I'm the ASC recording secretary for UAW 4811 at UCLA, a union that represents 48,000 academic workers all across the University of California. I'm a grad student at UCLA in sociology and a resident in Hugo Soto Martinez's District 13. I'm asking you to hold the LAPD accountable to our community and urge you to drop all the charges against all individuals arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. For the last month, UC has authorized violence against workers and students for protesting on campus for an end to the genocide in Gaza. UC let in outside agitators who beat people with pipes and boards. The next night, LAPD arrested protesters with flashbang grenades and rubber bullets. This violent attack has not stopped. My coworkers have been questioned, threatened, racially profiled, and mocked by police officers simply for entering their place of work. Student and workers' futures at UCLA and USC are in jeopardy with looming misdemeanor charges and student conduct charges. I urge you to drop all the charges.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
I agree, Alyssa. Yeah,
Good morning. If
UCLA
you
is
could
a
please
commie
remind us of
factory
the
now.
name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
My name is Jason Contino. I'll be speaking in the general comment to item 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public
Just a
comment.
bunch of communists, Terry.
As a head steward of my union, UAW 4811, I am concerned with the way that police violence has been normalized as a response to peaceful student protests nationwide and on my campus in particular. The mission of public education should be to uphold democratic values, not to actively erode them by inviting the police to brutalize, silence, and disrupt the protected actions of students, workers, and other members of our community. The action senior administrators took at UCLA is besides shocking, simply abhorrent. They allowed students, workers, faculty, and other members of our community to be attacked by a right-wing mob before attacking us themselves with police batons and rubber bullets the next day. The mayor's role in the brutalization of peaceful student and worker protests is not lost on me either. The police have no business responding to peaceful protests on our campuses, and their general presence on our campus has made us demonstrably less safe. Us as workers, as well as our students and neighbors, have the right to protest the ongoing genocide in Palestine, and we will assert those rights in the face of Gene Block, Carol Folt, Mayor Bass, and the LAPD who may seem to think otherwise.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Yes, my name is Caleb, and I'll be making a general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Hello, my name is Caleb Shimke. I'm a UAW 872 member and doctoral student at USC speaking in support of item 24. I'm asking you to hold LAPD accountable to the UCLA and USC communities and urge you to drop all charges against all individuals arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC from April 24th to May 6, 2024. During the time I was present at protests on USC's campus, I developed a fear of the overhead helicopters, which spent hours circling our heads, and which I was told were scanning the faces of peaceful attendees. I wondered if my hat would be enough to protect me, and I wondered when the violent spin of those blades, which could be heard not just on our campus, but also for miles in our local communities, who are themselves well acquainted with police misconduct, would stop. Anywhere you walked, it felt like you were being followed by their gaze, even just to step out to use the restroom.
Helicopter
Now when I hear
phobia?
helicopters, I feel the instinct to grab for my hats or to look down even though I am not and was not doing anything unlawful. I want to know how it was justified to surveil me and other students on our campus with some of the most expensive pieces of military technology they have for as many dozens of hours as they did. I want to know to what extent they were used to unjustly arrest and brutalize hundreds of my friends and colleagues, and I reiterate that I want you to drop any and all charges against them today.
Big ups to
Palestine.
LAPD
Thank you
Air
very
Unit
much.
and, of
Next
course,
speaker,
my
please.
bros, Metro Air.
Good
Guys
morning.
causing
If you could please remind us
phobias.
of the name you signed up under and the
Helicopter
items you'd like to speak
phobia.
to.
Yes, my name is Kyle Scott.
It'll
I'd like
hold
to
my
speak
hat.
under general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Yeah, my name is Kyle Scott.
clipping that one,
I
son.
am a Jewish graduate student at UCLA. A
Divest,
member
yes or
of
no?
UAW 4811 and a resident of CD4. I'd like to echo a lot of what has been said by my colleagues and union siblings already. I'm here in support of my students and coworkers who were peacefully protesting at UCLA and USC and who were brutalized first by a counter-protest, a mob of counter-protesters while law enforcement agencies sat idly by, and then brutalized by those very law enforcement agencies the next day. The very least that the city can do is to issue a thorough investigative report of what happened in those days, but I also call on the city to drop all charges held against my colleagues and students who were peacefully protesting. Thank you.
That's it. 22. Oh, no
Thank
divest.
you. Next speaker, please.
Sass, that's how the Democrats identify each other now in
Good morning.
2024.
If you could
The
please
face
remind us of
diaper.
the name you signed up under and
That's how
the
you know
items
you
you'd
are
like
with
to
a
speak to.
Democrat without asking.
Hello, my name is Shannon Forrest, and I'd like to speak to item number 24 under public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment.
I'm a UAW 4811 member and a resident in Tracy Parks, District 11. I am also asking you to hold LAPD accountable to our community and urge you to drop all charges against individuals arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. As a doctoral candidate and instructor at UCLA, I am deeply affected by the university's unilateral changes to our working conditions and its crackdown on freedom of speech, a right foundational to the functioning of a healthy academic community. Universities are where students learn how to be leaders, how to operate as engaged citizens in a democratic society, and how to fight for change based on the values they develop in university classrooms. The students and workers who were arrested at UCLA as a consequence of their activism against the genocide in Gaza and pro-Palestinian speech are now facing incarceration, surveillance, and shameful repression in the form of academic discipline and the withholding of degrees. Their futures depend on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
What's up, Brock?
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Thank you. My name is Shoda Vashkwanze. I'm speaking to item 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
I'm a doctoral candidate at UCLA, and I'm a resident of District 11, a constituent of Councilmember Tracy Park. I'm here to ask the council to hold the LAPD accountable for their violent response to pro-Palestinian encampments and to urge that all charges be dropped against all individuals arrested for peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. As a 4811 member and organizer, that's UAW 4811,
That's
I'm
not
currently
true,
on
Ismail.
strike against the
Crazy.
University of California's unfair labor practices. A violent crackdown on
Matters.
protected
Fire.
speech at campuses across the state. These actions have created an unsafe and undemocratic environment
Big ups to
that has
JP.
deeply compromised the university's missions of teaching and research. I ask the council to affirm nonviolent free speech as fundamental to a democratic political process and to take measures that rectify the city's role in this dangerous and escalatory attack on campus demonstrations. You have the power and responsibility to ensure that community members exercising their rights to peaceful protest are kept safe and met with an equally peaceful response. This was not the case
Thank
in
you
LA.
very much. Thank you. Your time's expired. Next speaker, please.
Yeah, their OG was fire batter, dude. I mean, I don't know. I haven't
Good
played any
morning.
of their
If you
new
could
stuff.
please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Those dudes would always
hi.
be making
My
bank.
name is Eli, and I'm here to speak to item
$1,000
number
jars.
24 under general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay. Hello, my name is Eli, and I'm a UAW 4811 member, graduate student at UCLA, and a resident in District 5.
You ain't
I'm
no
also asking you
doctor.
to hold the LAPD
Sucker.
accountable to our community and urge you to drop all charges against all arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. I am also a member of UCLA chapter of Jewish Voices for Peace. Us JVP members protested with the encampment to end UCLA's complicity in the ongoing genocide of Palestinians and to have UCLA divest from Israel. We were also present
Something was
to
spilled in
dismantle
there.
the engineered narrative that the encampment made
Fucking
Jewish students
Herman.
feel unsafe.
What did he
We never
spill?
contributed to an unsafe environment as we exercised our
Or his
contracted
dog
right to
piss?
free speech and protested nonviolently in our workplace. In contrast, UCLA and LAPD made the campus egregiously unsafe, in particular for Jewish students too, when they allowed self-avowed neo-Nazis and Zionist agitators to attack and brutalize members of the encampment. Instead of negotiating in good faith in order to de-escalate, UCLA utilized
dog
this
took a
attack
dump.
to justify a police raid against members of the encampment just the next day. Co-workers of mine were violently attacked with smoke, flashbangs, and rubber bullets and left with injuries.
Shit, yeah, shout out to flashbangs, man.
Throwing flashbang.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Hi, my name is Kai. I would like to speak to item number 24 under general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
What is he
Hi,
wearing
my
on
name
his
is Kai.
head?
I'm a grad student teaching assistant at UCLA, member of UAW 4811, and a resident in Katie Yaroslavsky's District 5.
What is that?
4 weeks ago, I, along with 44 other UCLA students, gathered on campus to prepare for peaceful protests. But before any protest had even begun, riot police surrounded and summarily arrested us for merely being there. We were given no warnings, no dispersal order, and for hours we were held with no justification, no opportunity to leave whatsoever as police summoned additional SWAT teams on us, a group of peaceful, quiet students, plus 4 independent press members and legal observers. Universities have gone far past the point of suppressing free speech, punishing those even suspected of voicing dissent. Campus safety is in utter jeopardy because of the university's weaponization of police against their own communities, directly injuring myself and countless my students whose safety and well-being are my lifeblood as a teaching assistant. Dropping charges against peaceful protesters is the least you can do. I further echo the call to end funding for police, whose sole purpose, as they've demonstrated, is to uphold systems of gruesome, inhuman oppression.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Bro, what's he wearing on his head? LAPD
Good
guys
morning.
are
If
in
you
hot
could
water.
please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
I'm Albert Boimer for general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Hi, I'm Albert, and I'm a UAW 4811 member at UCLA and a resident in Katie Yaroslavsky's District 5. I'm asking you to hold the LAPD accountable and urge you all to drop charges against anyone arrested during peaceful protest at UCLA and USC. I only moved to the United States to study a PhD at UCLA in August, having previously grown up and studied in New Zealand. While I had heard about the different philosophies and policing between New Zealand and LA, I never expected to witness the level of police violence and complicity in violence here so quickly and directly on my campus, in what seemed to be a refusal to take a de-escalation approach. When I saw UCLA's own police and the LAPD stand by as people tried to set the encampment and my friends on fire, I genuinely couldn't believe it. The police followed through with the demands of these counter-protesters the next day and violently raided and beat everyone in the police encampment and arrested everyone they could. We again urge you to drop the charges and hold the LAPD accountable.
They beat everybody.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
They beat we watched the videotapes.
Good morning.
Nobody got
Could you
beat by
please
any
remind us of the name
LAPD
you
cop.
signed up under
I mean,
and
they're
the
just
items you'd like to speak
absolutely
to?
just
morning,
always
my name's Dr.
lying up in
President.
here,
Your
man.
Why the fuck you lying?
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Always
I'm an executive board member of UAW 4811 and resident of
We
Councilmember
watched it
Procedural
live.
11. I'm urging you to hold the LAPD accountable and drop all charges against individuals arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. If police were here to prevent violence as they contend, they would not have stood by for hours as I watched in horror as my coworkers, my friends, were beaten, maced, and had fireworks thrown at them by counter-protesters. LAPD watched this unfold for hours with no intervention. The next night, police violently assaulted and arrested hundreds of protesters exercising their right to free speech on our campus. Students and workers' futures at UCLA, USC, and beyond are in jeopardy with looming misdemeanor charges and student conduct charges, all for peaceful protests.
55 students at UCLA are being threatened to have their degrees withheld. You have the responsibility to ensure that community members exercising their right to peaceful protest are met with peaceful response and are kept safe. That was not the case when LAPD responded to the campus protests, allowing vicious assault from outside agitators, arresting nearly 300 of our community members across multiple days. We urge you to drop all charges against all individuals arrested during peaceful protest at UCLA and USC.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to the
All right,
cops.
before our next speaker begins, I'm going to call some more names. If I could call some more names, please. Chris R., Audrey G., Harriet Elliott.
They don't ever talk about
Paula
all the students
Kahn,
that were held up
Priyanka
and couldn't
Koya,
go to class and were
Fiona
bothered
D.
either,
Grundman,
right? On the other
J.J.
side.
Rick, Andrew Graebner.
Oh, remember,
Jason
22
Reedy,
is the under
and
over.
Laura
Get your
Martin,
bed in
please.
now.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Good morning. My name is Desmond Fonseca. I'd like to speak about item 24 in general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Desmond Fonseca. I'm a member of 4811, UAW 4811 at UCLA, where I am a grad student, teaching assistant, and I'm here to speak to City Council and demand that you hold LAPD accountable, that you drop the charges against arrested UCLA and USC students, and also that you call for a permanent ceasefire in the war on Palestine, the genocide against the people of Palestine. Everyone here knows what happened. Myself, hundreds of my coworkers were brutally assaulted for hours simply because we had the audacity to say free Palestine, set up a peaceful encampment to say stop the bombing, to say divest from the war machine, to say hands off Rafah, and to say end the genocide. And those are not abnormal things to say. Actually, at campus protests, this is very, very normal, unfortunately. Because in the case of Vietnam, South Africa, the Iraq War, students have always had to stand up and protest. And what is abnormal is the fact that the LAPD, UCPD would stand by for hours as we're brutally assaulted. So I want to say, drop the charges and free.
Thank you.
I want to
Next
see
speaker,
I want to
please.
see pictures of your brutal assault. Sure, you took some pictures like anybody else would. Look at all, so you can get your lawsuit on because we know you need money.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd
Right.
like to speak to.
Broke, begging
My name is
Democrat.
Josh. I'm speaking for a general public comment on the campus protest motion, item 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
I'm a proud member of UAW 4811 at UCLA and a resident
Love
in
to
Cary,
fly, yeah.
Yaroslavsky's District 5. I'm asking you to hold the LAPD accountable to the UCLA and USC communities and urge you to drop all charges against everyone arrested during the peaceful protests at UCLA and USC. The last month has seen harrowing attacks on freedom of speech and the right to protest in Los Angeles. I've been a student at UCLA since 2016, and in my time, I've seen a myriad of student-led movements and protests, but I've never seen such drastic repression. I've never seen outside agitators brutalize and beat students for hours. I've never seen swarms of riot police assault and arrest hundreds of students for engaging in a peaceful sit-in opposing genocide and apartheid. This is an unconscionable and dangerous attack on the pillars of a democratic society, the right to express disagreement and to protest against one's government. Why do the LAPD condone a violent mob's assault on my students, peers, and coworkers? Why do they themselves assault and arrest them the very next day? You have the responsibility to keep us safe and to protect our right to peaceful protest. We demand accountability from the LAPD for the egregious assaults on our rights and bodies. We demand that these spurious and unjust charges be dropped immediately. We demand you adopt a resolution for ceasefire in Palestine. Thank you.
This will say guy got
Next
beat
speaker,
for
please.
hours. Oh,
Why the fuck
Good morning.
you
If you could please
lying?
remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like
lion
to speak
doctor,
to.
everybody.
Good morning. My name is Fiona Dean Brunman, and I'm speaking to item number 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public
Small
comment.
liar,
Please begin.
small liar.
I'm a graduate student at UCLA. I've attended UCLA for 6 years, and I'm appalled by the police response to the peaceful protests on campus. Not only was there a violent, forceful, and repressive response to the encampment, there's also been an excess police presence and private security after the fact during union-sanctioned rallies and other actions. As a student, UCLA employee, and LA resident, I urge you to investigate why LAPD feels that they can come to our campus and act with impunity at the campus where we work, where we learn, and where we pay tuition. The UAW has shown that without our labor, there would be no university, which is why we're on strike to protest these unfair labor practices. And we should have the right to have a safe campus and to be met with dignity and respect when we express our right to freedom of expression, especially when that freedom of expression is backed by our union of 48,000 academic workers. I have students who are afraid to leave their dorms. Drop the charges against the protesters.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Hi, my name is Paula. I'll be speaking on items 27
Paula?
and public comment. Please don't interrupt me.
Right, so you have 1 minute.
My name
for
is
the
Paula, District 3. I have a master's in public health with a
I've
focus
got a
on government
master's.
budgets and public health disparities and work at LA's oldest harm reduction organization. I'm alarmed by the CAO's initiative to make amendments to the city charter that would designate the CAO as the city's chief financial officer. The CAO is a position appointed by the mayor.
Karen
As such,
confirmed.
the CAO is not in the required democratically elected position to perform objective performance audits that adhere to generally accepted auditing standards. Such obligations are fulfilled by the Audit Services Division in the Controller's Office under the leadership of Controller Mejia, who was elected by a majority of LA voters. These standards require all audits to meet the demanding standards of fairness and peer review while ensuring impartiality and limiting outside influence. The 1999 charter reform process intentionally eliminated the CAO's management audit group and expressly transferred the authority to conduct performance audits to the city controller. This action was called for by Mayor Riordan at the time to reduce the CAO's authority to conduct management audits. Let's not forget this item was one of the most popular items in 1999 charter reform process. It's clear that Mayor Bass and the CAO are retaliating towards Honorable Controller Mejia and his staff for monitoring the city's
Honorable.
irresponsible misallocation of city funds towards LAPD, despite the ongoing urgent demands put forth by a broad coalition of communities and organizations calling for divestment from LAPD's structural violence and reinvestment in housing, food and water security, healthcare, education, employment, climate resilience.
Gotta divest
Let us
her.
look to Atlanta's current water crisis as a warning to the consequences of misspending public resources on police over infrastructure critical to human survival. Retaliation on the city controller's office for undertaking government budget accountability is an attack on civic engagement in democratic electoral processes. The concerns raised through items 24 and 27 reveal that we are at risk of descending further into a federal dictatorship that is repressing student-led resistance to U.S. support for Israel's genocide of Palestinians, which is locally enforced through LAPD and authorized by Mayor Bass. Angelinos remain vigilant on how city leadership will hold LAPD accountable. We expect such accountability measures to be reflected in a reduced LAPD budget for
Thank
the
you very
upcoming
much.
fiscal year.
Next speaker, please.
This bitch said honorable.
Honorable.
I think you're trying to say.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Remember, 22.
All items and general comment. Which items are open?
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. That's items 1 through 12.
Here we go.
Item 27 as amended, and items 29 through 39. So you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
All right. So there's several items of appointing people to the Community Forest Commission or something like that. You know, should be making sure the forests are actually protected. And fuck 35. That's De Leon's appointee. He shouldn't have anyone appointed to that commission. Let's see. There's stuff related to charter reform. It's interesting your main focus with that is how lazy you all are. You don't want to hear from the public. You want to just go continue sitting in the back room with your lobbyists, and you want to go down to 1 meeting a week. Are you going to increase public input at that 1 meeting a week? Are you going to make sure everyone from the public is heard? Are you going to have extensive call-in options? Are you going to not do 3 hours of presentations before public comments? Are you going to hold meetings in the community? Or are you just going to do the same thing, but, you know, once a week? 10 a.m. Down here, downtown, always down here, and, you know, no public input for the most part, other than a couple minutes after you all pat yourselves on the back for 3 hours.
Kind of true.
Let's see. We have. Let's see. What else do we have? We have item 39. That's related to transferring money for pay for firefighters. I feel like any money that we need transferred right now should come from the LAPD's budget. They're the main cause of this budget deficit. So if money's needed anywhere else, it should come out of the LAPD's budget. Let's go to general comments.
You have 1 minute.
So yeah, the 4118 report back, and no one's even being housed. How many citations and arrests you permanently housed? 2 people? 2 people in like 3 years?
Sounds
like
about
you're
right.
not even trying. It's all about criminalization and killing unhoused people, basically. And of course, you're using 4118 to as your excuse for removing the encampment outside City Hall last night. Doesn't 4118, aren't the sweeps required to be during daylight hours in the middle, and not in the middle of the night? Aren't they required to have like at least 24-hour notice? There was none of that. So it was not in compliance with your own law. And yeah, it's ridiculous what was allowed to happen at UCLA with pro-genocide protesters.
Thank you.
There you go, 24 the over wins. Oh, it looks like I'm saying a divester here. We got a divester. Yes or no? Put it in the chat.
If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Good morning. My name is Laura Martin. I'm here to speak on general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Good morning to all the council members. My name is Laura Martin. I'm a UAW student graduate worker at UCLA. I'm also a resident of District 14. I see my council member is absent currently. I have also been a resident of Districts 10 and 4, so thank you all for listening to me in his absence. I believe motion 24 could go further to hold LAPD accountable. I'm asking you to drop the charges for peaceful protesters and hold LAPD accountable for the documented harms to my undergraduate students who are scared and harmed, and my colleagues who are also scared and harmed by actions both caused by and willfully allowed by LAPD. I urge the council members to vote yes on item 24 and to consider future actions to reduce exorbitant spending and allowances to LAPD, wreaking havoc on our community and our environment. My doctoral training program is 6 years long. My understanding is that LAPD Academy training is roughly 6 months. Hold everyone accountable.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Next
glad.
speaker,
I'm
please.
hoping at some point you never have to operate on me. I don't ever want a doctor with fucking yellow fucking dyed hair.
Good afternoon.
God
Which
damn.
items would you like
Oh,
to
my
speak
girl.
to?
I'm just general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
I respect the people that have spoken, but my problem is so bizarre
I agree.
that 20 people have died around me. One very religious lady who is a picture of health and a friend of mine was Sarah Riley. I was told by the union president at 6:45, I'm also in UAW, but on the assembly line. Hernandez, the president Hernandez said Riley died. I couldn't believe it. Sarah Riley looked like the picture of health. Another person who died was my son's PE teacher. I told John Henry Watson at LA High School, I showed a picture of my son and he said he was a good kid, he gave me no problems, and he's dead, okay? So somebody's witness tampering.
It's a good kid,
yes.
give me no problems.
I'm investigating how long an instructor named Faith Windsor, it took for her to die. I'm doing this here because I'm bringing the investigation here because it helps me to go there.
Speaker, your time has expired.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Fucking love her.
Good afternoon. If you could please remind us of the name
Jimmy,
you signed
let's
up
go.
under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Good to see you, Jim.
Item 24,
Happy Taco
general
Tuesday.
public comment.
Okay, and before you begin, can you pull the microphone just a little bit closer? Thank you. Go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Look, you can't deny the discrimination and police brutality my fellow UCLA students experienced at the hands of LAPD.
This one, too.
On April 30th, UCLA declared a campus unlawful, but when counter-protesters attacked pro-Palestinian protesters that same evening, police did nothing for hours. Our union contract says we should have policing to protect protesters' free speech. They failed to do so, which is unlawful. And counter-protesters weren't arrested, yet the next day, the police destroyed the encampments, shot students with rubber-coated bullets, which can break bones, and arrested hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters. This is one of the many examples in which students experience police discrimination and violence. Hold LAPD accountable. If you believe in democracy, then the logic goes, regardless of your political views, our community members should be able to speak our minds freely without the fear of being harmed by discriminatory policing and policies. And shout out to Jewish Voice for Peace at UCLA for their amazing support for ceasefire and pro-Palestinian protests.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
This is my girlfriend, too. She hot. Love this chick right here. I called dibs, all you
Good
guys.
afternoon. If you
She's
could
mine.
please remind us of the name you
Back
signed up
off.
under and the items you'd like to speak to.
JJ Rick,
Man, really? With you right now?
general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
This is in regard to preventing the Los Angeles basin from being flooded with water in case of emergency. There's a possibility that that could be done in the near future. To prevent this flooding, it's best to contact LAPD, the civilian portion, the president, also the Department of State right next to the police department. It's a gray building. And also the third contact would be MTA, Metropolitan Transit Authority. There's a possibility that this city could be flooded with water in 15 minutes or less, and they will know how to begin to stop that from happening.
Yeah, my other girlfriend's crazy too, but the crazy ones are always great in bed.
As our next speaker's coming up, we've taken public comment for over an hour already, but I'm going to call a few more names.
Oh, it better be fucking
may not
Herman
get to everybody,
Spindler.
But I'm going to call a few more names. Spindler, Herman, Jazz, Nora Markey, Juan Pablo Garrica.
Randy, she's nuts. That's why I like her. She's like,
and
she's like the
Larry
other one.
Gates.
She's
And,
like the
oh
other
yeah,
one.
I already said that. And Susan Rocha.
Oh, and Susan Rocha. Whoop. That's the chick who.
Good afternoon.
is
If you
mad
could
at
please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Hello, I'm Brett Hugh. I signed up under the general public comment for 24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Hi, I'm a grad student worker and member of UAW 4811 at UCLA who was horrified with the way pro-Palestinian protesters were treated on the night of April 30th and early morning May 2nd. The university and police sat by and did nothing when a counter-protester mob attacked members of the encampment for several hours. The very next day, the campus was militarized to the teeth as the university failed to enforce its own de-escalation policy, instead attacking its own students. While the university claims an investigation is underway, it's led by the same person who investigated the botched response to the Uvalde school shooting and is accountable only to the chancellor, Gene the Blockhead, clearly only a way to cover up its own incompetence and dereliction of duty to protect its own students. We hope that requiring transparency will serve as the first step towards justice, not only for protesters, but also for the broader cause of Palestinian rights, which have been minimized and dismissed for far too long. We demand full accountability for the LAPD and associated law enforcement agencies who use disproportionate force against nonviolent protesters of the Palestinian Solidarity Encampment. Free Palestine.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
My name is Juan Pablo Gatica, and I'll be talking on general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
I'm here as a UAW 4811 member at UCLA and a resident of Los Angeles. I'm asking that you keep the LAPD accountable to our community and protect our rights to free speech by dropping all charges against all those arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and USC between April 24th and May 6th.
No.
My fellow workers and students were brutally suppressed by the police through the use of extreme force using flashbang grenades and rubber bullets. The LAPD's sweep led to the 253 arrests of protesters. This occurred soon after the vicious attack on protesters by outside agitators that UCLA allowed on campus.
Sandy Hoyt.
Of the outside agitators, only one has been arrested. Over $500,000 spent by LAPD and only one actual criminal has been arrested. That's a shame. Numerous community members were sent to the hospital as a result of these affronts to peaceful protests. Without the dropping of charges laid against the peaceful protesters, the City Council will be complicit in the violent suppression of constitutionally protected free speech. Drop the charges, call for a ceasefire, be on the right side of history.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I mean, do these people really think that if they called for the ceasefire, everybody just say, okay, well, LA City Council, they're so awesome. Of course, we're going to stop doing everything. We're putting everything down because they said so. I mean,
good afternoon. Which item
really?
would you like to speak to?
All of them.
Okay,
I live in CD1.
Susan Rocha.
My name is Susan Rocha. I was prosecuted by Divine Savior Catholic Church.
Yep, she's after
at
the
610 Cypress Avenue.
Okay, you'll need to speak to the agenda items, otherwise we'll move into general
Agendas
public
first. Okay. Well, I'll just go to general comment then.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, I was prosecuted by Divine Savior Catholic Church for a crime that never happened. This prosecuted under 302A, Penal Code 302. It's got to stop. This is unconstitutional. I was found not guilty. Yeah, I went to a jury trial where the priest, Albert, prosecuted me on the stand for the prosecution. This has got to stop, this harassment. This is First Amendment standing on the corner. And now the police are harassing under the same code, 302, the nonviolent protesters up at the Scientology building on Vermont and Fountain. This has got to stop. I'm not talking about violent protesters or these people behind me or Black Lives Matters. I'm talking about nonviolent protesters should not be harassed. And this 302, Penal Code 302 is unconstitutional.
All right, guys.
I was found not guilty. 12 people believe me and not Priest Albert and his lying church. But that's cruel. That's cruel what a priest can do and get away with, and you all just look the other way. And it's all about a noise problem, but you just look the other way.
Speaker, your time has
Don't
expired.
push down
Thank
on
you.
that.
Next
Your
speaker,
tail's
please.
in there, and you're going to
302 has to
squish your
stop.
own tail. Viewer discretion is advised. Look at him taking his time. All slow and shit. Viewer
Good afternoon. You
discretion
have
is
3 minutes
advised.
for the item and 1 minute for general public comment.
Fuck you, pumpkin. I'm gonna speak on all fucking items and my non-agenda public comment. What's my time?
You can see your time. It's running right now.
Oh,
You have
no
3 minutes
shit.
for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Motherfucker, I could read. Just because I didn't get to go to UCLA, but I support UCLA on the issue on development for arts. All they did was put up their tents and display tents as art the way you run this fucking city on item 29. Bloomfield, you fucking Jew. What about the expenditure report? What about it? The budget is supposed to help not undermine the ethics and scandals of fuck the charter. No. It's supposed to support item 24 in addition to authorize cultural affairs to make Hamas known that we in support of you.
Okay, speak to the agenda item,
I'm
or
on
you'll go to general
29
public
now,
comment.
going to the next item, dictator.
You just
Do
said
you
that.
want the number I'm on? I'm on forestry. And forestry has multiple items, so what fucking item do you want me to be on? Oh, no answer, right, you fucking dumbass? Because the reason behind that is there's an appointment for Charlie Brown Miller, who, under community forestry advisory, what, don't make fun of me, you fucking attorney. I have a disability.
Speak to the agenda items or go to general
well, let me
public
finish
comment.
up, dictator. Because relative to the appointment of the bitch, Mr. Miller, to the community forestry, we advise you that save our fucking trees. Us Native Americans like our Indian trees, and we like our fucking oak trees. So stop destroying them and putting these little meeny-weeny trees on our public right-of-ways that take years, if not decades, to grow because of racist fucking Armenian. And then what about all those other items, 32, 33, 34, 35, 37, 38, and 39? Am I able to speak on them, Mr. Attorney, for the record?
He already told you what items. Speak to the agenda.
You're not the attorney. You have a
Okay,
broken
this is put into
record.
general public comment.
All right,
Enough. General
let me
public
go to my
comment.
non-agenda public comment, asshole. They're censoring our First Amendment by denying us the right to protest. We don't support Bloomfield Jew in his efforts to send bombs to kill children. We support from sea to sea Palestine. Stop sending our American bombs to kill women and children. We all breathe the same, we all shit the same, and we all barf the same. Barf! Barf! So, once again, 42 U.S.C. 1983 politely, fuck the police. And once again, fuck the DA. And once again, oh, I'm sorry, am I on topic? Yeah, I'm speaking about not censoring my First Amendment of free speech. Do you see anybody provoking me, asshole? Of course not, because I know my rights. And as I said, the color of law, 242, 245 section, fuck the city attorney too.
Next speaker.
Rather tame today. Uh-oh. Viewer discretion is advised. Spindler up next.
Good afternoon. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Yes, yes, thank you, you ambulance chaser. Now, we have here all these goddamn fucking items. Oh, let's start with number one. Number one, the South Hobart Boulevard by that dirty,
Number one is
sleazy-
not open for public comment.
What? I see it on the board, dummy.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. Go ahead.
Because you're retarded and Armenian. So number 1, 8779, by that dirty, sleazy Marquise Harris Dawson, stealing $10,000 fucking dollars for a worthless lot in the ghetto. Fuck you. Then we have number 2, Foothill and Bloodsoe. Where the hell's that? CD7. Oh, that's in Fat Money Cow's district. Yes, you could stuff that Portos down that fucking mojo.
Get on the agenda.
Oh, that's in CD7. Now, number 3, we get to the noodle ramen. And because she had such pretty hair and came over and was so nice, we will support number 3. Oh, thank you. No, thank you, asshole. What?
Mr. Spindler, hold this time.
Yes.
The physical appearance of members of this council is not on the agenda and is irrelevant to the agenda. Speak to the agenda or you'll move to general public comment.
Yes. Number 4. Fuck you, Bob, on number 4, Stagg Street in Oso. There's no street lights there. How about turn on the street lights? And then we get to number 5 with that fucking Hugo Stalin Martinez. You want to fucking turn your street lights on first that are dead before you start trying to bill for more street lights? What a crooked fuck that fucking union organizer is. Holy shit. Now let's get to the tree items. You need to plant trees. Yes, you do. Now let's see, what cockroaches are you putting on this panel here? Buckethead, yes, look at that big head of his. Putting this person on here, Gwendolyn Henry. That's not a real name. I bet that's a former FBI informant. No on 32. 33. Look at this. Council District 7, I can't do her physical appearance. I'll refer to her as a Shetland. The Shetland says Pablo Cardozo. Fuck Pablo Cardozo. Then we have 34, Council District 5. Good Lord, Horseface is goddamn appointing Charles Miller over there to the panel. See how I got it in there? City Attorney, see, you can't stop us. Number 36, the General Manager is completely unqualified. $240,000 to do nothing. I hope one day when I grow up, or this asshole over here grows up, he can get paid for doing nothing. Thank you, Goat Puppet. You're welcome, Church. Now we get to this. So last night we had a protest out on the front lawn. They're just watching movies and put up a few tents. And you call an LAPD tactical alert. Shame on Hugo for doing that. Shame on you for not supporting the protesters out there to watch a goddamn movie, $89,000 in overtime per half an hour just to remove a people watching a fucking movie. Meanwhile, we were live streaming over by Staples, known as Crypto, a guy on the top of a bus. That's right. Yes. And of course, it's good that Imelda notes that because that happened over downtown, not in your district. Your district's a shithole. It doesn't matter. So we finally want to say, fuck the LAPD, fuck the police department, fuck the city attorney, and God bless our controller, Kenneth Mejia. Kick their fucking ass, these pieces of shit on this council. Thank you.
Is that the same controller that came in and told us about the helicopters? I think it is. Anybody know?
Good afternoon.
Pretty
If you
sure.
could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Yeah, I saw that,
Markey,
Brian.
general comment
Scott
for
was
item
live.
24.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
What's
Please
weird
begin.
is that was a Foothill
Markey,
Transit bus.
I'm a
What was it doing over here?
4811 member, UCLA doctoral student, and District 11 resident. Regarding item 24, I'm urging the council to acquire the action report for the LAPD actions April 24th.
Did he steal the bus and then brought it
police
here?
stood by watching the Zionist mob attack students at the encampment, and the next day the police took over themselves to violently attack UCLA students. I urge the council to use their power to drop all their charges against UCLA and USC students, divest from genocide, and defund and prosecute the Los Angeles
He just
Police
walked
Department,
away?
which so violently attacks Angelinos. I yield.
Well,
Thank
what are you
very
going to
much.
get him on?
Okay, we'll go next to callers on the phone.
He didn't steal the bus.
First
There's nothing
caller,
you
please.
can get him for. You know?
Caller, which items would you like to speak on?
I hear somebody doing the goat. It's probably Herman.
Chris Frias, local attorney and TV4 Los Angeles resident, would like to speak on general public comment on item 27.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 27 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item first.
The charter reform item to appoint CAO as Chief Financial Officer to conduct performance audit signals to residents and voters alike that the city and its officials have little to no respect for the democratic process that this nation has so much pride in. This charter reform is fiscally irresponsible, redundant, and abusive in nature, as there is already a democratically elected controller whose office is responsible for this sort of financial oversight and procedure. This policy change is imbalanced and instead chooses an unelected person to perform this work instead of the controller's office, which will be shielded away and isolated from reviewing where the city's funds are going and why, which is a critical balance of power that is needed now more than ever. This policy leaves little to no credibility nor accountability for actions that you clearly do not want any oversight or public record of. Economic transparency in a city and state that hemorrhages millions and billions of dollars with little to show for it is needed now more than ever, especially when so many city and county officials have very recently been convicted of crimes of fraud and extortion. Spare you the list of names since you know them already. You insult each and every voter in Los Angeles.
General public comment.
Reform. Stop wasting taxpayers' time and money with redundant policies. Shame on Mayor Bass for signing off on this charter reform. Do better. And all of you city council members, remember why you are here and how you got here. Votes. I yield the rest of my time.
Next caller, please.
Caller, which items would you like to
Those
speak
flowers
on?
are expensive. I'm sure they were. We paid for them.
Good morning. I'm formally protesting.
Good morning. And which
The
items would you
Brown
like
Act
to? Sorry.
violation.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
I'd like to speak on items 1, 36, and 38 and general public comment.
Okay. So
Can
you
you
have
hear me
3
okay?
minutes for the items. Yes, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
Okay. Item number 1 is for a $10,000 property so-called nuisance abatement lien by the corruption and incompetence of Sleazy Marquise Dawson and Petty Pinkface Crocorium. This motion is just another attempt by corrupt Sleazy Marquise Dawson to confiscate another citizen's property at 8779 South Hobart Boulevard from them and eventually hand it over to one of Dawson's developers and thereby enrich himself and indicted Kern Price through kickbacks. We are calling for yet another investigation of Dawson and Price for the attempted theft of this property instead of assisting this citizen. This item should receive a vote. Item 36 is for an insane salary of $240,621.16 for the general manager of the so-called neighborhood empowerment. This is an insane salary when 5 to 8 homeless die on the streets of LA every day, just like the $715,000 salary given to the head of LADWP recently. This attempt should receive a no vote because it's just more corruption and payoffs for these people to do the corrupt bidding of the pink face system of Sleazy Halls Council. The majority of this $240,000 salary should go towards services for the people of LA. Item 38 should receive a no vote, in my opinion, if indicted criminal Kern Price, corrupt Sleazy Marquise Dawson, or unelected Heather Hutt are allowed to vote. I'm going to general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
Petty-faced corrupt Armenian dictator Paul Krikorian has indicted out on bail embezzling criminal Kern Price, voting daily on this corrupt Sleazy council. Public. Black faces occupy 20% of this Sleazy council, yet black women are only 4.3% of the population, but 22% of female rape, 36% of female assault, 33% of female homicides, 33% of all female violence, nearly 50% of the homeless, 50% of the incarcerated, 50% of the unemployed. The black community has zero representation from these incompetent, corrupt, sellout, self-serving, indicted black Uncle Tom members of the city council. I demand all their resignations. And a large city like Los Angeles needs more than 1 day for public comment. Thank you.
Next caller, please.
It's true.
Caller, which items would you like to speak on?
What's up, Mello? Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm giving general comment in support of item 24.
Okay, go ahead. You have 1 minute for general public comment.
My name is Hannah, and I'm a resident in District 10. I'm a member of UAW 4811 as a graduate student and instructor at UCLA. The police brutality we've recently seen community members, my students and colleagues, face on campus is unconscionable. This brutality, in concert with the way police have previously stood by as students were attacked by a Zionist mob, demonstrates that police presence on campus has had neither the goal nor the effect of protecting students. As a Jewish student and worker, I want to speak to the argument that protesters standing up for Palestinian lives and freedom make campus unsafe for Jewish students like me. This could not be further from the truth, as we have seen that it is in fact Zionist mobs as well as the police who make Jewish and other community members unsafe on campus. I've seen how police violence against students and the ongoing militarization of campus has made UCLA an uncomfortable and unsafe space for my students and colleagues. I therefore urge you to hold LAPD accountable and to drop all charges against individuals arrested during peaceful protests at UCLA and at USC. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Caller, which items would you like to speak on?
Please leave the meeting and stop disrupting the work of this council and interrupting the public's comment. That gentleman is ordered removed pursuant to Rule 12, officers.
Get the fuck out of here.
Go ahead with the next caller, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can now that the shouting has stopped. Go ahead.
Which item would you like to speak to?
I'd like to general and item 27, please.
Right, general and which item?
Number 27, please.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 27 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
All right, so reducing city council meetings more than they've already been made accessible to working and poor people of the city is probably the worst thing you guys could be doing. Congratulations on radicalizing a bunch of UCLA folks who came here to make comment about something that y'all should be making extra time to talk about, and have now been faced with the truth of how undemocratic this process is. I think it's pretty telling, like the difference in sympathy that's offered to folks who are coming from the UCLA encampment and the brutalities that unfolded there versus other times, when you have council members like Kevin DeLeon who invoke police violence as a historicized thing of the past and, honoring the Zoot Suit riots, and then the next week he's bringing out a whole cadre of LAPD to crack down on his core constituents with 4118. Or 200 police in riot gear who cracked down on folks.
Thank you very much.
General public comment?
Skid Row community and protesters who...
Excuse me.
Can you hold her time?
I'm sorry. I've warned you before. Hold her time, please. Okay, she's ordered removed from the meeting pursuant to Rule 12. This is the 4th time she's disrupted the meeting. Okay, have a nice day. Have a nice day, and let this woman complete her public comment, please. We've been taking public comment for an hour and a half, and there's still people waiting to be heard, and you are disrupting the meeting. So, okay, I'm sorry about the disruption. Go ahead and complete your comment, please.
You still have 56 seconds.
Hit the road, Jack.
Audience feel like they're in an audience and not participatory members of this democracy.
Look at him.
So, a peaceful encampment, protest encampment outside of your place of work was raided at 2 a.m. last night. They brought animal services to seize people's dogs. They destroyed medical resources, artwork, and about 50 tents that were, those are potential shelters. So again, in a kind of reflection of what KDL did in Skid Row to our mutual aid hub there, we're demanding that you guys divest and disclose what you have, what investments you have with Israel. We're demanding that just like you did 40 years ago when you divested from financial ties to apartheid South Africa, as Karen Bass herself pushed for, we're asking for you to do the same now in what's happening in Israel. We need you guys to disclose all financial ties between the city of Los Angeles and Israel.
Caller, your time has expired.
We had a double divester.
Next speaker, please.
The rare double divester. We seen it.
Yes, 27, which I believe is about reducing the
Great Panderer.
City Council meetings and public comment. Thank you. Take my
Okay,
call.
so yes, you have 1 minute for item 27 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
Thank you, sir. For someone who has been there for 35 years, I've watched as the respect between the council and the general public has deteriorated. It's become sickening. And, you know, council members, I hate to say this, but, you know, you folks allowed this to be created, this division. You supported Nuri Martinez. She divided this city. She's divided friends. After this, during public comment, I'm going to have to attack an individual who I considered a friend, and now I can't put up with his nonsense.
Ooh.
But again, City Council, the people deserve to be heard, and I believe that this is the only way by coming to public comment during the City Council meetings. Let me move to general public comment, please. May
Go
I
ahead.
to
You have
public
1 minute.
comment, please? Thank you. I watched Friday's meeting again, and Mr. Herman, you sickened me by, first of all, saying that you're a Native American. If you were a Native American, you would never talk about the way you did to
So,
Mr. Dawson.
Speaker,
I'm
this
not
is
a
your
big
opportunity
fan
to
of
address
Dawson.
the council, not the members of the public.
I'm addressing the council, sir. Mr. Dawson was called every dirty name in the book and should not have been. He should be attacked for his policies, but not because he's a black man. It's just nonsense that it's gone so far that someone thinks their First Amendment right gives him the right to stand before another man and call him the filth that he has done, and he insults the whole African American community, the black community. So, Herman, get back on your subjects.
So,
Fight the
again,
corruption
this is your
and
opportunity to
stop
address
the
this council, not members of the public.
Stirred him up.
Speaker, your
Herman.
time has
Thank
expired.
you. Next speaker, please.
Stirred up. That's what he is.
Caller,
He
which
triggered him.
items would you like to speak on?
Mr. Herman.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Which items would you like to speak to?
I would like to speak to item 27 and general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 27 and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
Okay, I think in regards to item 27, it's obvious just from this meeting that the City Council does not care about the public's opinion, and that is why they are reducing the number of, or why they're attempting to reduce the number of meetings per week. We have seen at least 3 complaints now from the council about how long public comment is taking, even though nobody in the public comment seems to care about how long it takes. They just want to be heard. So it seems like you are more concerned with your free time than listening to your constituents. Also, you did not correct a previous commenter when she was attempting to speak on 27, but misspoke and said 26. So I think that also makes it very clear that you did not want to hear her speak on what she wanted to speak about. And now I'm going to go to general comment. Oh,
Okay.
Also, I'm a constituent of CD 13. In regards to item 24, I think that the perpetrators of the violent anti-free speech actions by LAPD at UCLA and USC campuses must be held accountable. The people of Los Angeles have a right to hold the officers who claim to serve and protect us to account for violating the First Amendment rights of peaceful protesters, and all charges against the protesters need to be dropped. I also want to implore the Council to pass a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. Our national politicians have failed the American people by shipping hundreds of billions of our tax dollars to a genocidal regime while Americans die on our streets in crippling lifelong health care or student debt, some of us without access to clean water or healthy food. This decision to continue arming Israel undermines American interests globally and strengthens our so-called enemies, Russia and China's position in the international community. If the images of child amputees and dead families do not sway you, I hope the loss of American hegemony abroad will persuade you to pass a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. One more caller. Next caller, please.
Oh, man, really?
Caller, which items would you like to speak on?
Hello? Waited all that
Go
time. to
ahead.
hang up?
Which items are available for comment?
So the items that are open for public comment
No
are
Rob,
items 1 through 12,
Jason,
item
no Shelley,
27
no
as amended,
Lagoon, no
and
Lobster.
items 29 through 39.
29th. Okay. Okay. For today, I'm going to have to say general public comment, please.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon, City Council members. I just want to say it's disrespectful when you council members are not listening to public comment from your constituents who are coming up to the podium and making public comment by telephone. I see that you guys are standing around talking to each other, chit-chatting. Why don't you save that for later? Secondly, I'm just thankful to see that there's no more $400 lighting up City Hall items on the agenda today. I hope I don't see any more because our city is going broke, and you also have to take into consideration of the budget deficit that the city is facing. We're talking about millions of dollars, and our budget deficit is going to keep growing and growing and growing as tall as a mountain, and we're going to be drowning in debt. And I hope you guys understand that because the cost of living is too high. The cost of
Caller, your time has expired.
All right, that will close public comment on all agenda items and close general public comment. Madam Clerk, what is available for us to vote on at this point?
Mr. President, Council may now vote on items 1 through 12, 31 through 36, 37, there's no action on the mayor's veto, so Council can also vote on 38 and 39, sir.
Very good, thank you. Those items are now before us. Councilmember Soto Martinez, did you want to be heard on one of these items?
No, I do have a small clarifying technical amendment for 26A, but I could do that now or later.
On 26, okay, we'll come back to that. Let's on the items that were just, Councilmember McCosker, on the items that were just read.
Just for clarification, are we voting now on item 31, the appointment of Gwendolyn Henry?
Yes, sir.
I will urge an aye vote, and Gwendolyn Henry is here with us today, and she has patiently waited through this whole meeting, and I'm looking forward to her appointment.
Okay. If that's the case, should we hold 31 for a separate vote? I think we should do that, given the patience of our nominees. So let's hold 31. We'll take that up next. On the remaining items, 1 through 12, 32 through 36, 38, and 39. Those items are now before us. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
Yes, my name is Jason Jenkins.
15 ayes.
Very good.
Mr. President, there is a request to send items
talk of
38
baby batter
as
today,
well
my
as
bro.
39 forthwith, sir.
Without objection, that will be the order. Let's go next item, 31.
Thank you
Mr.
so much,
McCosker.
Mr. President.
Oh, Buckethead needs to get something in here.
Commissioner to be Gwendolyn Henry is here with us today. She is a resident of the Harbor area, has been active in a number of important causes, neighborhood councils. She's been an advocate for forestry and environmental issues in the harbor. She's served on the neighborhood council's sustainability movement. She's active and a board member with the San Pedro Community Garden. And I probably could not describe all the other things she has done. She is a omnipresent in the community around environmental issues, a very close ally of Connie McCosker, and I'm so glad that the mayor has found your talents and asked you to serve on this commission. So I will urge an aye vote.
Very good. Thank you very much for your willingness to serve the city. I see no one else wishing to be heard, so let's go ahead and open the roll on item 31, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
All right, everybody.
Congratulations. Smoke. All right, that will take us next to item number 14, which was called. Mr. Soto Martinez, was it 14 that you had an amendment on?
I introduced an amendment for 26. It's stamped as 26A. It's just a small clarifying technical amendment.
Okay, and that's already been distributed. The city attorney has it. Why don't we go ahead and read that, and then we'll come back to item 14.
Yes, so the original motion, that was Amendment 26A, had 6 parts. The technical amendment to the original amendment will do the following.
Thanks,
so
Joe.
under subsection C, it will add the
thanks,
language
Peter.
that was formerly subsection E. So at the
Schwab,
very
thank you.
end of subsection C in the amendment, the following will begin. It says, all terminated officers must still be afforded an appeals process after termination. The previous subsection E is then deleted, and then what was formerly subsection F will become subsection E, and the final change is to subsection D, where CD 13 is adding the word directed. So the final language will be authorize the City Council to adopt an ordinance to establish binding arbitration as the appeals process in lieu of the directed Board of Rights.
Is there a second to Mr. Soto Martinez's amendment? Ms. Hernandez, thank
Councilmember
you.
Hernandez seconds. Okay, let's come back to item number 14. Item 14 is now before us. Do any members wish to be heard on item 14? Okay, so item 14 was amended, so that item is now before us as amended. Let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
15 dollars. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That will bring us next to
Honor the
item
Texas
number
flag.
18.
Pledge allegiance to the
Councilmember
Texas,
Blumenfield,
one
did you
state
wish to be
under
heard on
God,
item 18?
one
Please.
indivisible.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, reason I called this
Shout
item
to
special
Texas,
is
man.
I'd like this item to be referred back to the Public Safety Committee and request that the Police Foundation report on how they vet donations. And the reason I put this forward, I don't have a problem with donating dogs to the police. Police dogs, that's, to me, is not the issue. But what I'm concerned about is that this company is called the Adelhorst International. Adelhorst is the name of the Nazi bunker used by Adolf Hitler during World War II.
Mr. Herman,
What
you've
an asshole.
been informed several times you are not to disrupt the meeting. You're informed that every single meeting. If I hear a sound from you again while a council member is talking, you're gone.
Okay, and tried to give the company credit and Googled around trying to see, are there these other uses of that word? And I don't find any. And so to me, this company is a company that is glorifying Hitler's Nazi bunker, and also, it's a company that is dealing with German Shepherds, which there's all that history with the Holocaust and German Shepherds. And when you Google it, you see that this issue is not, it's not like this is an inadvertent mistake. This has been raised multiple times throughout the decades that this company has been around. They've had plenty of time to change the name and do something about it. It's just, and I don't know, to me it feels like it's a glorification of the Nazis and Hitler, and I don't know that that's the intent of this company, but the reality of it, it's a creepy name that shouldn't really be associated with a company like this. They've had plenty of time to deal with it, and I can't support doing business with a company that's glorifying Hitler's bunker. So that's why I'm originally I was just going to say no, but I've been asked to send it to committee to have them vet it further, and I'm okay with that. But I can't support something that, without some sort of explanation that makes sense, and it'd be hard pressed to think of one that uses that term for the name of the company. So I ask to refer this back to committee.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection, item 18 is referred back to budget.
They love the robot
to the
dog.
Public
They're not
Safety
banning that.
And just to clarify, Mr. Blumenfield, withdraw the amendment, correct?
The initial amendment, yes, but we're referring it back to public safety and to vet on how these donations are made.
Noted.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Yes. So because there was a motion that called for additional instructions, we should vote on that.
Just to clarify, the original amendment is withdrawn, and the action now is to refer back to committee, sir.
That's fine.
Okay. With the request that there be a report to public safety about the vetting of donations. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Without objection, that'll be the order. Next, item 24, which was called special by Councilmember Ahmed. Councilmember.
For offering me the opportunity to speak on this item. Colleagues, I rise today because people in Los Angeles, across the country, and maybe even across the world, watched as public demonstrations against the war in Gaza emerged in the form of encampments in common areas of college campuses throughout America, including in Los Angeles at both USC and UCLA. I was compelled to introduce this motion with a number of you around this horseshoe because there was a dichotomy in how law enforcement responded to some of these protests. In one case, for example, there were hundreds of arrests for nonviolent offenses, while in another, just a few miles away, there was no intervention as actual violence played out for several hours. I'm concerned that these divergent responses leave our communities with questions, and particularly leave our communities wondering whether the response protesters may get from law enforcement depends on their politics rather than on their actions. So I would like us as a city to answer some of those questions for the public. I want us to take a critical look to assess how decisions were made about the size, timing, and methodology of LAPD's deployment at these campus protests, and to make sure that we are able to answer those questions clearly for a public that I think also shares many of them.
She doesn't talk
I
about
wanna
the
thank,
millions in
many of
damage
the
done to
speakers
UCLA.
today who gave their time, and I also want to extend my deepest gratitude to my colleagues who co-presented this motion, Council Members Yaroslavsky, Harris Dawson, Price, Hernandez, and Soto Martinez. What I'm hearing really is that an honest look at this response, an effort to figure out exactly what happened on our campuses is essential. The people of this city are entitled to understand how their rights are being protected. And I think we also need to use this as a moment, as we did after George Floyd, to look ahead and to ensure that we are prepared for big moments that may happen ahead. So with that, colleagues, I urge an aye vote and thank the other council members for their support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rahman. And I think the opportunity to have this report is also an opportunity to have clarity of information, because there clearly has been so much misunderstanding and misinformation around this about even which law enforcements were involved, which law enforcement agencies were involved in which operations and so forth. It's important to have that disclosed publicly. I should note, too, that many of the speakers who spoke today asked this council to drop charges against people who are criminally charged, and I think it bears noting for the sake of the public, this council has absolutely no role in pressing charges or dropping charges against people. That's a prosecutorial decision that is not a political decision
DA.
made by this council.
Who's
one
on
way or
your
the
side
other.
anyways.
So, and that can also be part of the reporting back, I think. All right, is there any other member wishing to be heard on this item? All right, if not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
Thank you. That will take us next to item number 26. Okay. All right, Councilmember McCosker.
I'd like to move the majority report coming out of the Public Safety Committee. And I'm sure we'll have questions for staff. There's a majority report and there's a minority report, and there are amendments to the item. I'm making it clear that I'm moving the majority report as is.
Noted, sir. It's best for this matter to have the vote first on the amendment that was introduced by Mr. Soto Martinez and seconded by Ms. Hernandez as further amended just now, and then the next vote after that, depending on the vote on this Amendment 26A, would be on the majority vote, which is on the agenda. So at this point, Mr. President, if council may vote on 26A, Soto Martinez Hernandez, as further technically amended by Soto Martinez Hernandez.
Same difference when the people
well,
they
first of all,
vote
just
for
to,
do bad things, they never
complete the
say a
loop,
word.
Mr. McCosker's
Quiet,
made a motion.
quiet
I
as
will
kept.
second
But
the
when the
motion,
other
and we
side
will
does
go now
bad
to
things,
the
they highlight
amendments.
all that.
So we'll start
Same
with
thought,
Councilmember
same
Soto
philosophy.
Martinez on the First Amendment, which would be, and we're going in reverse order.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so sorry. Multiple items, multiple amendments in front of me. So Councilmember Soto Martinez on Amendment 26A as amended.
Thank you so much, Council President. For this, I would like to call up the head of the Professional Standards Bureau of LAPD, the city attorney, and the
great.
CLA. If you can all
We're gonna
please
have a
come
whole
to the,
sit down
to the
now.
table, por
This
favor.
could last half an hour. Guys, I think we cut bait here. 'Cause there's no more public comment. You know they're not going to fight with each other. What do you guys say?
I'm sorry. Whoever's shouting out is disrupting the meeting. Please don't shout out.
It's fucking Spindler over there.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying that I was one of the original movers on this motion, and it's been a long and lengthy process, and I've enjoyed that process working with my co-presenter, McCosker. I think we agree on 95% of what's being put forward. It's just that last bit of piece that it's going to be decided here on the floor. But I also want to thank the chair of public safety, Councilwoman Rodriguez, for also being part of this.
Fish are gone.
Now this
we're just enjoying.
was brought forward.
Well, I'd like to know what you
to
guys
public
like.
safety, and I voted no.
Your input
in
matters
safety
to me
because it morphed in a way that I
Chase,
could not.
we're going to be live later. I mean, I've already been out.
Is on two.
I've been live almost 3 hours already. For just a city council meeting. We were live yesterday for 3 hours for the city council meeting in Dalton.
2 civilian, 1
We
command
can
staff.
watch the chase tomorrow.
And
tonight.
also including the ability for arbitration on when a police officer was terminated. And now, on both of these issues, we don't have data, we don't have report to look at. Are we making the correct decision?
You know what's funny? They're talking about this and budgets and all that, but what they're still not telling you, and they just talked about how officers are being fired. What they didn't tell you is how many officers were being let go of because they didn't take the shot. And now, still to this day, you want to be a police officer for the LAPD, you are required to take the shot. Today. We're not talking about 3 years ago or 2 years back. Today. Same with being an LAFD firefighter. Sad deal. Fucking sad deal that they're doing that to those first responders, man. How many good people they lost that just didn't want to bend the knee for them and take that fucking poison. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you later tonight. You guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your Taco Tuesday. Get some tacos out there. I'll see you guys 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tonight. On behalf of Stink Bomb, who's asleep over here, and myself, we're out of here. Thanks for the likes, the love, the donos, the thumbs ups. They work and they're free. Enjoy your day. I'll see you later.
Adios, turd nuggets. See you guys. And again.